Hello. Hello. Hi. 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 Happy Friday. Hello. Hello. We are here. I almost didn't make it tonight. Ended up having to work today. And I almost skipped out on this. Oh no. Oh great. Hold on one sec. My mic is let me get my mic set up 1 second. Okay, sorry. I was having mic issues. I'm hoping we'll just make it through the live. Anyways, I got a new mic. Hi, hi, hi. Yeah, issues, but we're good. Hello, hi. Yes, I'm here. Hello. You guys can see me and hear me okay? I was supposed to be live earlier. I ended up having to work. But here we are. We're going to do it. Yay! Scoop. Hello, hello. Thank you for being here. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. We're going to continue Mackenzie text. We are now into 2021. I'm not skipping. I know some people in the comments asked me. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. We're going through all of it. Okay, let me say hi to you guys real quick and then we will get started. Hello, all new viewers. I am Melly. I am your host. This is my channel. We are going through Mackenzie Shirilla text messages with her boyfriend Dom. And it's wild. I saw Pumpkin, Alicia. Hey, Alicia. I did want to say thank you too for the Cash App. Thank you for supporting my channel. So appreciated. Mandy Tacos. I see Sarah G. I see Cream My Mod. Hello, love. Twisted Stitches. Hello, I've been looking forward to tonight. Yeah. I have a feeling my mic's about to fall over. So give me 1 second while I try to get this resolved here really quick. I didn't realize that. 1 sec. Okay, we're good. We're good in the hood. Friday night marathon. No. I don't know how long we'll be live on here, but no, I'm not doing the marathon today. I'm doing it tomorrow. But we'll see how long we can get through today. Hello, hello. Thanks for bringing the tea. Hi, Chrissy. I saw Alicia. Sunshine Country Chickens. Okay. Where am I getting my eyeglasses? The ones I'm wearing? Oh, these are old. Yeah. I've had them for a while. I went to another channel for a minute. You read these. So okay, no cheating for you. Yeah, you better not cheat on me, Chuck. Hi Barbie. I've been looking forward to tonight. Yes. Okay, let's get started. 2021. We're so close. So far, yet so close, right? I have a lot of it, Stephanie, but I think there's a lot we weren't able to see as well. Okay, let's get started. Stephanie was asking about additional evidence from the case. Let's see. Okay. Nice. Let's see. So I left off literally at the beginning of 2021. This is January 1st, 2021. She says, "Where you at?" He says, "Talking to Scotty and my mom." She says, "Where you at?" Question mark, question mark. Then it goes to the next day. So she says, "Morning, babe." He says, "Good morning, babe. I love you." She says, "Love you, babe. What you doing?" And she sends a TikTok link, 2 of them. He says, "I seen that shit. I don't care. Now all animals getting abused. Don't let your cats by me or I'll kick one of them fuckers." Okay, I had a long ass day and to just like jump into this right away, I'm like, whoa, chill out. Give me a minute to like finish my drink at least. What I know. So I can't deal with anyone who hurts animals. I'm sorry. Victim or not. Hey, Sassy Pants. Victim or not, I don't give a shit. Like, if you hurt animals, we're not cool in my book. So Please unsubscribe now if you hurt animals. This is wild. We have seen him mention this before, though, about him being like violent towards animals, but yeah. Damn, who pissed in his Wheaties? Yeah, exactly. So he says, "Don't let your cats by me or I'll kick one of them fuckers." She says, "Okay, I guess. Bye, babe." Yeah, I would too. And then she says, "Or did your phone die?" Oh. And she says, "Oh, it didn't." And he says, "Bye, babe." Then he sends a screenshot and he says, "Why is like most of this me?" She sends an emoji and says, "I love you, babe. I want you to be happy. You should try to talk to a therapist if you really think that's what it is." I can't see what's in the screenshot, but he obviously looked something up on Google and is trying to self-diagnose himself. It's a little surprising because like most of the time we see Mackenzie being a punk to Dom. And then this time around, like we see her kind of like he's saying I love you more and she's kind of being the bigger person. Like the last live, all we heard was her telling him like he needs help. And that's just really crazy. It's really sad. I don't like him at all. You have to be a sick person to hurt an animal. Yeah, I agree. So she says, if you really think that's what it is, he said, if I hear the word therapist one more time, I'm going to throw Smokey in the dryer machine. What? Isn't Smokey the cat? Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't keep up with all of the bullshit that they have back and forth. Who is Smokey and whoa? This is like on a dark, I feel like in 2021 we might see Dom getting a little bit darker and then probably flip-flopping back to Mackenzie, like back and forth. I just think lost all sympathy for Dom, says Nico's mummy. Chuck's says, not a psychiatrist, but I wonder if he doesn't have intermittent anger disorder. Something. Hey, Ruth. Yeah, something is wrong here. This isn't normal behavior. I think we all can agree on that here. Talking about throwing an animal into a dryer machine, like, even if that was a joke, like, that's kind of a foul joke. Like, let's, like, feel the vibe. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, feel the vibe out. Like, fit in. Like, don't be a weirdo. Don't say shit like this. You know what I mean? That's not being a bully. That's just like, dude. Sounds like a 10 temptation. He just wants attention. I don't know, you guys. Like that thing when people say like, oh, people are drinking when they're drunk. And then it's like you see people who they really are. Some things come out when they're like actually drunk. It's like their subconscious is like thinking these things and they just come out when you're drunk. You see what I'm saying? Like I feel like Dom saying these things, it's like, okay, yeah, he might have issues. There's things going on. But at the end of the day, like the fact that you even think like this is where I'm concerned. It's like you're not just saying that. Maybe you might just be saying that to piss her off, but it's like you still thought it. It was still a thought in your head that you gave energy to and it created it and you're saying it out loud. And that just really bothers me. Chuck says intermittent anger disorder has a lot of similar symptomology to borderline personality disorder. Yeah, we were thinking he was bipolar, but you could be right. It could be an intermittent anger disorder. He spoke those words into existence, right? Creating like, I just feel like if you're thinking something that nasty, like the energy you get back, I think, from the universe will be just that nasty. Like, how are you saying you're going to throw an animal into the dryer? That's messed up. Tim says our host is still pretty. Thank you. Red flags in every conversation that they have on both sides. Exactly. And she says, okay, I'm just trying to be here for you, babe. I love you, babes. He says, I love you too, babes. And he says, I really hate the word quote unquote therapist and quote unquote doctor and quote unquote be happy. Wow. And quote unquote, it's okay. And Mackenzie says, okay, babe, I won't say any of that. He says, or anything along the line of apology or promise, or I accept your apology. She says, what's your plan then, babe? He says, for what? She says, she emphasizes an image, that. He says, what's that? She says, never mind, babes. My mom wants to go to the mall. My mom wants me to go to the mall with her. And when do you want to hang? And he says, I don't know. I don't know about today. And she says, if you want to be alone today, it's just cool. I'm down to hang out whenever you want. He says, I'm going to just chill with Sheen right now. You know, this dynamic right now that's going on where she's like, you know, if you don't want to hang out, I feel like it's a little different. She gets a little toxic at times, but it's a little different from the previous early 2020 where she's like constantly wanting to be here with him. She's realizing that he's just going to treat her like shit. That doesn't mean I'm defending Mackenzie. I still think Mackenzie is who she is. But I think that like we're seeing the dynamic change throughout all of these text threads. And that's very interesting. Potato says, I agree, Melly. Their inhibitions are down, and most of the time, who knows? Chuck says, having any type of disorder, however, does not excuse any of your actions. That's actually really true, but I wonder if he has a history of hurting animals. If you're thinking it, I have a feeling it's like with the Brian Kohberger case, the Idaho 4, and then we have like even the case, we are doing another live later, so make sure you turn on your notifications. I didn't even give my spiel today, but if you're not tapping the like button, you're going to get blocked. Just kidding. Understand my sarcasm. But anyways, so I feel like when it comes to like dismembering, we hear that a lot in true crime, and you thought that thought. So I feel like this is pretty brutal, like what's happened here. And I just feel like, I don't know why I'm ranting about this, but I just don't think Dom, I think his intentions, it's Friday, it's been a long week. I think his intentions were just never good. That's basically what I'm getting at. That's the climax of my story, my rant. It's not like the first time, is what I'm saying. It's not the first time you're acting like this. That's where I'm coming from, is like this behavior is just so toxic. And I think it's, like I said before, it's very interesting, the dynamic that we're seeing here with Dom and Mackenzie going back and forth. One time he's a bigger person, another time she's a bigger person. And I just feel like here she's just like, you know, I'm going to let you do you. If you want to hang out later, like, let me know. He said, I'm going to just chill with Sheen right now. Bruh, Gabby Main was talking shit to me now. And she says, WTF, what did she say? He said, bruh, it was some dumb shit. I'll tell you later. And she says, OMG, okay. He says, if you go to the mall, let me know what shoes they have left at the store so I can resell. Any good Jordans or Nikes you feel? She says, okay, I will, babe. I'll look for you. He says, okay, babe. Want to order food and watch movies? He says. And she says, yes, when? She says, I just ate. Let's do tonight. What movie? He says, I don't know. What movie do you want to watch? She said, a funny one. And what food? He says, I don't know, for real. What are you in the mood for? And she says, low-key pizza, maybe. He says, yo, that would be dank. Super hot, steamy, cheesy pizza. We need a fire New York style pizza place. And she said, bruh, yes, that sounds good AF. And he says, LMAO, what pizza place? And she says, honestly, Angelo's sounds good right now. And he says, that's far, babe. She says, I can get it and bring it. He says, what about Capri? She says, I like Capri, but they put hella sauce. Can we get light on the sauce, extra cheese? He says, yeah, you're the one going to get it. And she says, you want me to get Capri? He says, get whatever you want, babe. She says, let me know what you want so I can order it. I'm going to go to the mall with my mom and my sister. Then I can come. He says, just cheese pizza, babe. She says, okay, I can come with the pizza. What size pizza? He says, I don't know, a big one. She says, like the biggest size. And she and she says, what time do you want me to come over? It's called a large. Anyways, that's what I said, not what he said. And so he said, I don't care, whatever you want. I don't think I'm gonna be doing anything. She says, okay, I'm about to go to the mall with my family and then I'll get pizza to come over. And he says, bet. She says, I'm ordering soon. He says, okay, babe. This is at 6:56 p.m. She says, a surprise coming soon. He said, bet. He says, Thomas, Eric, and Martin want to smoke. Would it be okay if I smoked with them and then we can chill? I guess we'll have like a confessions moment here. Don't judge me. But I'm like, it bugs me when he like makes plans with her and then he just like flakes and does this. This would bug me. This would bug me. Maybe I'm a little bit toxic. Not me being the toxica. Or maybe, I don't know, like, wouldn't that bug you? Like, if someone was like, if my boyfriend specifically was like, yeah, we're going to hang out. And then he constantly flaked for his friends like that, or change plans like mid throughout the day. I'm such a busy person that, at least for me with my lifestyle, that would bug the shit out of me. Just saying. You guys are like, yes, I know. I don't think that's, hey, Amber. I hate the term low key. Male's mom making her go crazy, and good point. She always says she would never let him go. Well, I'm defending Mackenzie. You never hear her wanting to hurt animals. She saves them. Okay. Facts. Hot issue detective. I'm willing to accept that opinion. That's true. I think you need to remember their ages. That is true, Dixie. They definitely drove both of each other insane. Yeah. Okay, let's continue. He says, and then we're gonna chill. And he says, or we will chill, then I smoke with them or something. I don't know. She says, well, I have the food, like right now. I was about to be there. People pool. He says, yes, come. I don't have to chill with them. And she sends a TikTok. Okay, this is the next day. She sends a TikTok. He says, lit. She says, hi, babe. Good morning. He says, good morning, babe. She says, I didn't go to bed till like 4 a.m. He said, that's tough. He says, I've been feeling shitty all day. She says, right. And what do you mean by shitty? Like just drained? He says, never mind. She says, I'm sorry, babe. Just trying to talk. What are you doing? I have school tomorrow, babe. He says, chilling, about to eat food. She says, what do you eat? What did you eat? I haven't ate yet. I did some crystal shit this morning, though. And he says, I'm just about to eat pizza. F it. She says, you always eat healthy, so who cares? Yeah, that pizza is good as F. She says in a screenshot. She says, babe. He says, what? She requested $20 and Mackenzie said, yes, question mark. Did you tell her to do that? LOL, or should I just decline it? He says, LOL, def don't accept that. WTF. She says, LMAO, that's funny AF. I wonder why she would request that. He says, I don't know. That's our word. She sends an emoji and she says, are you busy? He says, I don't want to chill today. I don't want to be mean or something. She says, oh, okay, well, if you end up feeling better, would you want to? She says, I am out of everything though. And then she says, babe, why are you not texting back? He says, I'm eating. She says, well, do you want to hang later tonight? I'm bored as shit. He says, yeah, we probably can, babe. She says, yay, what are you eating, babe? He says, more pizza. She says, LOL. He says, eat. She says, LOL. What are you doing? I want to hang. And then she says, dry AF. You act like you act like you're not on your phone 80% of the day. WTF. He says, we're watching football, babe. Sorry. Then he says, babe. And she says, what's up? He says, not much. You didn't text back. She says, well, I didn't think you wanted to talk or hang. He didn't respond. And she sends a question mark, question mark, question mark. She says, do you not want to hang, babe? Then she says, babe. Okay. And he says, no, babe, we can hang. She says, when, babe? I want to hang. He says, I don't know. Right now, to be honest, my armpit is bothering the shit out of me. Your armpit? I don't think he means his armpit. He might mean like a chest muscle or something. You know what I mean? Thank you, Crystal. Hi, Crystal Babelet. Crystal's over here just giving memberships. She's like, F it. It's Friday. I feel like being giving. Thank you, Crystal. That really helps support the channel. Oh, yeah. And disclaimer too. I saw someone in the comments. They're like, Melly, there's so many commercials. Sorry, yo. It is what it is. We got to do what we got to do to get out there, babes. We got to do what we got to do to get out there. Shaking that ass is just not enough right now. So we got to do it. If a guy gaslighted me about hanging out that many times, I'd given up by now. LOL. Thank you, Crystal, for gifting a membership, and welcome Rassi to the members. Everything itches. Yeah, Crystal is awesome. Anyways, so I guess his armpit hurts, but I don't think he means his armpit. He might mean like a chest muscle or something. YouTube premium for the win, says Dixie. Dixie's like, I ain't even worried about it. I ain't even worried. Okay. Yeah, I know. If Mackenzie had just had a female role model who would have taught her what a relationship is supposed to be, maybe things would have been different. Okay. Yes, Mayla's mom. I agree. And where was a female role model? Where the hell is Natalie Shirilla? And why is she acting not like a mom? He always had something wrong with them. I hear the dynamic between Mackenzie and her mom in those calls, and it's crazy. I can never talk to my mom like that. Like, me and my mom are close and we joke around, but like to an extent. Like, if I was popping off on her like that, I would still probably get grounded and thrown in the room, if you know what I mean. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my mom would be like, excuse me? The girl speaks gibberish. I was thinking we should do like a lesson and try to learn it, and then we can speak it here to each other. Nothing. Natalie's the worst mom, says Mayla's mom. My mom has never even smoked weed. So like when I listen to if she's been close to it, it's probably been through me. I was really big on that. Like in high school, that was like the thing out where I lived, and like, the Valley, it was just back in the day. So I can't even imagine like, like Natalie and Mackenzie talk about like vapes and weed and driving with weed in the car. Like, that probably wasn't something I could do with my mom. We all have different experiences. We all grow up differently, but it's just an interesting thing to see. I'm like, that's crazy. But you guys might have a different experience, So, but then there's other things my mom was cool with. So it's like, it's just life. But anyways, point is yeah. Where was Mackenzie's role model? He says, I don't know right now. My armpit bothering the shit out of me. Just come by in a little. She says, let me know when. She says, I'm ready. She says, can I come at 6:40 or 6:30? She says, Dom. He says, yeah, I'm rolling a wood. She says, okay. So she goes over there, and then it's the next morning, and she says, good morning. I love you. I'm about to go to class, babe. He says, okay, babe, have fun at school. I'm going to Wim Hof breathe. I love you. She says, oh, babe, I'm going to lab now. He says, what's the lab? She says, where I do hair and shit. He says, okay, nice. He says, I'm about to work out. She says, on the way home at 10:45. She says, want to hang? He says, yeah, my boy Jared trying to make plans and Kyle trying to chill later. So let me see. She says, I'll let you know when I'm home. He says, okay, do you have unscented soap, babe? She says, yeah, babe, it's what I washed my face with. She says, I'm home. He says, I need it for my pits. LMAO. She says, LMAO. She says, when you want to hang, babe? He says, I don't care. I think I'm going to Jared's with Blair, so I'll probably just wait for Kyle to get off work at 5-ish. Then we can chill in the meantime, maybe. She says, want to come over? Or I can come to you. She says, do you want to, though? I want it. And he says, what? He says, I got to shower soon. She says, do you want to just shower now, then I can come over? Or do you want me to come over now? He says, well, what are you trying to do? She says, hang with you. He said, Mackenzie says, I don't care. I just want to be with you right now. He says, okay, babe. She says, okay, what? So what are we doing? He says, you can come whenever, babe. I'm going to shower in a sec. He says, can you bring soap? She says, I can bring some soap. He says, okay. He says, come, babe. She says, I'm going to come now. She says, I want to dab though, so I may take one before I come. Taking it right now. He says, you can come take one with me. She says, yay, I'm on the way. And then she sends an audio message, and he sends an audio message. And that was at 11:22 a.m. So they must have hung out. And then she says, at 8, she says, what are you doing, babe? She says, okay. He says, I'm chilling with Kyle. He says, sorry, I'm really high and was talking to him for a while. She says, I figured that's what you were doing. When do you want to hang? He says, in a little. She says, okay, I have to leave at 11 because of school though. He says, okay, babe. She sends an emoji. He says, I love you so very much, babe. Wow. She says, I love you, babes. Emoji. He sends an emoji. She says, I'm ready to hang whenever, baby boy. He says, okay, babe. She sends an emoji. He says, come and wear your shoes. We can take a pic real quick because I know you want to. She said, yay, on the way. He said, LOL. He said, put my bed sheet on though. That was at 9:51. And then at 11:30 and 39, she must have already gone home. And she says, I miss you already. Good night, babes. The next morning at 6:21, she says on 1/5, morning, babe. He says, good morning, babe. I love you. She says, I love you, babes. She says, want to hang soon? He says, yeah, let me see what I got to do first. He sends like a video or something. And she says, let me know ASAP. I want to hang. She sends like an emoji. Not an emoji, like a meme. He says, okay, I just might link with my homie to get my money. She says, okay, babe. He sends another emoji meme thing. She sends a little frog. Then it's the next day. And she says, morning, babes. He says, good morning, babe. I love you. She says, hi, babes. Love you. He says, hey, babes. Love you too. She says, I'm about to drop Kendra off to do my schoolwork. Please come watch me do my schoolwork, babe. He says, babe, I'm not dressed and I'm cleaning my room though. She said, after. He said, after I'm done or you're done. She said, come as soon as you can. He says, no, I'm running on. He says, no, I'm running on my time, not yours. She said, ... He said, I'm just not trying to get dressed to come over, leave in an hour, and then have to shower and get dressed again when I can just finish showering and get dressed. He said, but I don't know what shampoo to use. She said, I can go get you a really good one today. He said, whatever you want to do, babe, you don't have to. He said, my room is really clean. I'm rolling the wood of the buds Scott gave me to try. When are you coming? He says, do I have time to Wim Hof? She says, right now. She says, tracking number? He says, I sent it to you. When should I order Chinese? She says, me and Megan playing the Oculus. Want to come? He says, maybe. She says, come. He says, eh. He says, I'm so fried for some reason. LOL. She says, come hang. He says, no, babe, I'm tired. She says, please. He says, I'm about to brush my teeth and lay down. She says, no, come hang, babe. He says, I'm chilling with Smeesh, babe. And then she says, babe, good morning. This is the next morning on 1/7. She says, I miss you and love you. He says, I love you, babe. And then he said, babe, what shampoo do I use? That was at 7:55 a.m. And then at 10:07, he says, honestly, I hate people. He sends a screenshot of something. He says about protecting racism. Trump supporters went to DC to protect racism. How effing R-word can you be? He sends another TikTok. He says maybe because the whites ain't robbing and looting the city. Maybe because they're just protesting and not hurting anyone, not hitting people with rocks or robbing people, just protesting. Sure, they climbed some building, but okay, better than setting things in the street on fire, ruining their own effing city. He says, dumbass. Honestly, I hope the black dude just gets shot up because they're so effing dumb. No wonder the cops shoot him. Okay. You know, when I was ranting like a minute ago and I was saying, if you think the thought, you're thinking it for a reason. Like that thought honestly was made in your freaking brain. This is disgusting. I'm not victim blaming. I'm just saying, like, Dom had tendencies of being a nasty person. Come for me if you want, but don't come for me, babes. You know I'm right. You know I'm right. It's all of the drugs, sends Alicia. All right. I guess I'll give him that much. I don't like this type of talk. I don't like nasty talk like this. Not me getting all offended over here. LJ says, I noticed Dom never hangs with girls. Yeah. That is sick and twisted, says Tay. So true, says Ruth. He said what? You know, like if we would have skipped this and just jumped to 2022, I probably wouldn't have known this. She's the same. They're both just as bad, but I'm just saying, like, mushrooms don't make you racist. That's not true. I've taken many mushrooms back in my day in high school. That was a thing. Smoking weed and taking mushrooms was a thing back then, or at least when I was in high school. I know times change, but that's just not cool. No take backs there. Let's move on. He says, protecting racism, how dumb can they be? It was because election fraud. Also, they ain't running in businesses and stealing shit. They just went in the Capitol. Mackenzie says, oh God, I feel like both bad. He says, nah, for real. You know I'm right. And she says, I don't care. I hate violence and destruction. He says, they dumb as hell. She says, yeah, low key. He says, they didn't destroy anything. She says, obviously the cops are going to like them better. She says, I got to get back to work in a sec. He says, also, they ain't saying F the police and taunting them. She says, do you want to hang today? He says, you seen Black Lives Matter protesters? She says, yeah, exactly. If they were saying this is what Mackenzie said. If they were saying F the cops, I'm sure they would be hitting and killing them too. Dom says, and you know, it's just about election fraud, not about racism. Dumbasses, for real. That's what Dom said. He said, it's the Democrats that do this. See, they're the ones that say, oh, it's because of racism. The Democrats drawing the line, creating racism, separating the country. That's what Dom said. Not me. You know I don't like to talk politics here. The one time I did talk was the Charlie Kirk situation. We don't talk politics here. We talk true crime, dancing, and makeup. Tequila shot. Someone who's going to buy me a tequila shot tonight? I feel like I might need it after these text messages. He may have been on something, to be honest. Still. Melly, I can't find you on Cash App. Oh, it's that one girl, Melly. Crystal, it's in the banner. Thanks, babes. Yeah, it's just $ that one girl, Melly. That's my handle on all social medias. Just that one girl, you know, that one girl on the internet. That's it. Hey, Carrie. Yeah, I'm not into politics, so apparently Dom is, though. I love Charlie Kirk, says Crystal. Okay, let's see. He says, separating the country. Mackenzie says, I agree with you, but I think it's a typo, but they have broken into that building. Check signal, says Mackenzie. He says, Duction. That was a typo, I think. He sends more screenshots. He says, what did you do with my nail clippers? She says, I love you, babe. I'm at school right now. He said, I'm on the way to Jared's. She says, when do you want to hang, babe? He said, yes, babe. She says, can I come over? He said, can I smoke with Sheen real quick? She said, yes. He said, bet. She said, scoop me after. He said, okay. She said, when, babe? He said, in a sec. He said, come. She said, okay, I'm going to get a surprise first. He said, bet. Is it food? She said, maybe. I'm on the way. He said, bet. She sends a screenshot of herself. Okay. That's on 1/8 at 6:59 a.m. And then she says, morning, babe. She says, love you. He says, good morning, babe. Are you peeing in that pic? She said, yes, babe. Oh. So Mackenzie was taking selfies on the toilet. Cool, dude. Cool. Like, oh, Weddle says, I love you, Melly. Do you love me, Weddle? You better love me, Weddle. You better love me, or else I'm waiting outside that door waiting for you until you let me in. What, girl? Hey, God's country. Kids are infiltrated by politics right now. They can't escape from any of it. Peeing and what in the toilet? She was on the toilet taking a selfie. Like, she was taking a pee and she was like taking a selfie. Like, she's like holding the camera out, like on the toilet. Yes, I do. I wonder where they both always have some type of stomach issues. Were they 3 years apart? Something like that. Does that mean she lost or took them? In regards to what? I'm lost my train of thought. She said, yes, babe. He says, babe, get me shampoo. She said, okay, I will. She says, I don't think my mom can drive me home. An asshole parent. Because of that. He said, yeah, when do you want me to pick you up? She says, 10:40. What are you doing, babe? She says. And he says, at Blair's. She says, I'm playing Fortnite, LOL. He says, I'm about to be home. I'm about to... Oh, no. He said, let me go back. At BS. I don't know what that is. She said, I'm playing Fortnite, LOL. He said, I'm about to be home. Okay, I'm about to go chill with Blair, babe. And then she says, babe, when can we hang? He said, babe, I thought you were going to play Fortnite. She said, no, babe. I said I was. I want to come over. He said, want me to swoop after this sale? She says, let me drive Kendra home, then we can. He says, okay, that works. Or chill with Kendra, he says. I'll chill with Blair. She says, no. I can drive her home right now. He says, why, babe? She says, I want to hang with you. He says, LOL. She said, so what? Can I come or no? He said, yeah. She says, okay, I'm going to drive her home right now. He says, okay, babe. She says, I'm going to go to your house. And he says, okay. She says, if you get any time tonight, make sure and see if Smokey is by the windows, wouldn't come in for me. That was at 1:36 a.m. And then Dom says at 7:47, I'm up, babe. She said, hi, babe. Morning. He said, good morning, babe. She said, I woke up about to piss my pants, LOL. He said, you still have to pee? She said, I went pee. So I'm up now. He said, you've been holding that a while? She said, LMAO. I have to pee a lot, she said. I don't know why. Okay. What the hell? I'm not in the mood to listen about them pissing. Anyways, he says, I'm just kidding because yesterday you refused. You refused to go and keep holding it. Not me being a jerk. Hey, Moonchild. Selfies everywhere. Weddle says that's nasty. Weddle doesn't want to get selfies when a girl's on the toilet. He's like, nah, I'm good. Too much, says Ruth. He says, I'm just kidding because yesterday you refused to go and kept holding it. She said, LOL. I think it's just ADHD or an anxiety thing. He says, LOL. She says, I'm excited to shop today. He says, I know. What are you doing right now? She said, I'm just laying my tummy kind of nauseous. He said, check signal. She said, okay, leave, see what issues come up. Wait, let's go back. We skipped something. He said, check signal at 8:09 a.m. And then at 2:50 the next, it's the same day. 1/9 at 2:50. She says, okay, leave. See what issues come up. She said, I'm definitely not the immature one. She says, I'm outside with Nico. You good, babe? She said, okay. She sends like a screenshot of herself. I can't like show you guys that picture, but okay. Call me crazy. Maybe this picture will come up later in the Snapchats that we go through. But to me, it looks like she's doing like a booty pic in this screenshot. Maybe I'm just envisioning things. I can't see what it is, but something looks weird. She says, LOL. Oh. He says, I have to put it together on a puzzle. She said, or look at Snap. He says, I got it. 48 moves. Oh, I thought it was a picture of her butt. It looks like a game, but I could swear it's her in the pictures. Oh, maybe it's her arm, not her butt. Not me thinking she was sending nudes. How inappropriate of me. Maybe it is her arm. I can't see. It's too small. And I can't click on it because it won't show us. He says, I have to put together on a puzzle. She said, or look at Snap. He says, like, just don't mind me. He said 48 moves. She said, yay. She said, I love you. I guess it was her arm. He says, I love you too, babe. He says, Angelo's going crazy. She said, oh God. He said, he flipped on my mom. Mackenzie says, what's going on? What did he say? Dom says, I don't know. I'll tell you later. He was just tweaking, trying to fight everyone over his car. Mackenzie says, OMG. So did everyone leave? He says, no. She says, is Angelo still tweaking? Dom says, I don't know. She said, I'm sorry, babes. He said, it's messed up. I'll talk to you about it later. She said, okay, baby. Love you. She says, now my mom can't take me to my nail appointment tomorrow. He said, that's tough. Then she says, morning, babe. He says, good morning. He says, I love you. She says, how'd you sleep, babe? He said, eh. She says, Dom says, I went to sleep at 3. She says, OMG, why? Dom says, dealing with that shit. She said, is everything good now? And Dom says, I'm at Blair's. She says, doing school. Can you take me to my nail appointment? He says, I don't know when. He says, I have to do stuff, to be honest. She says, I might have a ride. He said, okay, let me know. She said, I will. Then she said, I'm so excited to get my nails done. He says, I know. You're going to look so good, babe. She says, I need a ride. The only person who swiped up was Kyle. Then it goes into the next day. She says, hey, babe, I'm at school. This is on 1/12 at 12:32 p.m. She says, can I come after school or are you busy? He says, no, I'm mad. I don't want to hang today. She says, okay, babes, hit me up later. She said, did your appointment go well, babe? And then Mackenzie says, I texted her. Tom says, okay, that doesn't really do anything now. I can text her. Obviously. Mackenzie says, okay, don't take it out on me, babe. I tried to help. I'm in class. I tried. He says, well, that wasn't the point to text her. The point was to call her. I can do it anyway. Mackenzie said, which I can't do because I'm at school, but I tried. He said, well, that wasn't the point. Wow. She said, hi at 4:05. She says, babe. He says, hey, babe. He says, I'm home now. What are you doing? She says, I'm about to take a meditating bath. I want to hang. He says, come hang. He said, babe, so my problem's worse now almost. Itching gone. My problem worse now almost. He says, itching gone, but now there's chafing. Oh no, here we go. You know what? First I thought there was nudes, and now he's talking about chafing again. I don't want to be doctor here, but like, dude, get it together. Like, since when's did ADHD make you pee? Hey, Mallory. Mallory, your notification didn't work? Okay, that's right. That's fine. Okay, I'm having problems with YouTube now. I'm gonna settle this with YouTube, Mallory. They didn't notify you. I'm pissed. Um, at this point, like I recommend Dom go to the doctor. Has he went to urgent care system? Tay's like, yeah, my notifications was late. Yeah, Ruth says go to the doctor. Too much scratchy of his itchy pee. Okay, but I'm not going to get into this conversation again because people in the comments are like, people have health issues. And I'm like, dude, I just don't want to hear about you having issues with your pee. That's all. Okay, let's move on. He says, but now there's chafing. He says, I need to switch underwear. She says, let me take my bath. Then I'm going to come also. I got you something. He says, I really need soft boxer briefs. She says, next time I'm at the mall, I'll look. He says, but I can't go buy them because I can barely walk. If you can barely walk, yeah, I would get the ambulance like to come get you because that's a serious issue. Like, please call 911, have the ambulance pick you up, and like get that figured out. Like, get it looked at, get some triamcinolone cream. I don't know, get some cyclovir, like whatever you need, baby, just get it because like this is concerning. And I'm open to talk about it, but like it's a little much. I'm like, who's playing a joke on me with these text messages? He says, but I can't go buy them because I can barely walk. She says, babe. He said, money orders was terrible. She said, oh no, what happened? He says, it hurt a little when I drive, just the chafing. She says, oh yeah, I forgot about that. He said, so I wore loose underwear, so it wouldn't itch as much. Loose underwear makes too much movement in my pants. She said, I'm sorry, babes. He says, causing underwear to rub in my pants. She said, I'll be over in less than an hour. I just need to get in the bath. He says, it didn't just spread, it just started rubbing that side. Okay. At this point, I'm ending the live and I'm just going to go grab a beer or I'll put you guys on hold. Like, I'm like, is this real life? Like, am I reading these texts to you about chafing and shit? Oh my God, they both need the doctor. I mean, I guess we would be the doctors in this case because apparently they couldn't Google this shit and figure it out. Okay, he says it didn't just spread, it's rubbing to that side. He says, so now both sides are effed. She said, holy shit, what exactly do you need? Like, what type of underwear? All for real, go ASAP. He says, I don't know, like anti-chafing ones, like the softest boxers briefs, LOL. She said, I'm coming in 10. Just got out the shower. He says, okay, babe. He sends little kissy faces. He says, I'm going to make this logo for my brand. They're just a pair of lips. He says, it's easy as AF. She said, aw. He says, wouldn't that look dope? Imagine the kissy lip, different colors too. Kissies. She says, yes. That was on 112. Then they must have hung out. She says, morning, babes. Love you. I'm at school on 113 at 8:07. He says, love you, babe. He says, thank you for cleaning my room. By the way, it looks so nice. She says, I love you, babe. I wanted you to have a clean room. I'm about to go into theory. She sends an emoji. He says, babe, did you know I love you so very much? Wow. Dom telling Mackenzie he loves her has been like a thing, the last few lives we've done. Google makes it work. Yeah, I don't Google stuff because I go down a rabbit hole and then I really will be in the ER. I'm like, look up this, test me for this, do this. And they're like, what the hell? How about silk? Yeah, at this point, just like go to the doctor. He said, babe, did you know I love you so very much? She sends like a little heart face. She says, I'm home now, about to go to school online. She says, I love you more. He says, no, I love you more. She says, no, I love you way more, babe. My number one babes. He says, aw, my babes. She says, send me a pic of you, babe. She says, what are you doing right now, babe? He says, I'm at Jared's. He said, just rolled a wood. She says, sounds smacking right now. He said, right? She said, emoji face, emoji face. When can we hang? He said, I'll be home eventually. She says, when? Babe? He said, babe. Goes to the next morning. She says, good morning, babes. He says, I love you, babe. He says, found your cart charger. She said, no way. Where was it? She sends a picture of, I can't see shit. She says, I've been using this. Oh, it was a charger. And he said, on the floor in the kitchen. He says, I don't know where it came from. Also, I just watched a thing on Grace. One of the dudes got addicted to opiates and died. She said, yeah, isn't that shit sad? And just on the floor? Question mark, question mark. I love Grace. I want to watch it. He says, yeah, for real, just on the floor. He says, like in the middle. I don't know how it got there. She says, weird AF, LMAO, at least it's found. He says, yeah, my mom def moved it or something. He says, I really wonder how that got there. She says, I don't know, for real. She says, what are you doing up so early? I'm about to leave for Polaris. He says, I just get up this early now. She says, that's wild. I hate waking up early. He says, I get up before 9 like every day. It's been like that for a bit now. She said, God damn, babes. And then she says, what are you doing? Can I come over after school? Babes. He said, hey, babes. She said, hi. I love you. I found a song that reminds me of you. He said, what is it? She's like, I'll show you in person. He was like, okay. Can I do my laundry? Or no, can you do my laundry? And she said, sure, LOL. She said, sure, LMAO. When with Faith, I'm with Faith right now. I can come soon though. Let me know when. He said, okay, let me know. She says, are you home now, babe? Dom? He said, yes. She says, when can I come? He said, I texted and it didn't send. He says, in a little. You want to get food? Like order? She was like, yes, where? He said, my shit hurts. He says, I don't care, wherever. She says, I'm craving Chinese and Chipotle and other stuff. He said, yeah, let's get Chinese. He said, I'm literally naked, LOL. I'm just wearing your Kenzie. Is that cool? She says, you're so cute. He says, LOL. There was a typo. She says, what are you doing now? He said, it hurts. Okay. Again, please get that checked out. They're both screwed up in the noggin. Yo, rash cream. Sarah's like, I lost my appetite. Miss BS is like, mm-mm. He said it hurts. I'm just chilling, about to take a dab. She says, I want to come now. He says, okay, one sec. Let me see what I got to do. He says, yeah, you can come. He says, I'm not going to do anything else. And she says, okay, I'm coming on my way. He said, does Wild Fusion deliver here? She said, I don't know. I can pick it up. She said, I can pick it up. Do you want me to? He said, yeah, well, whatever other place we would order, might as well. I'll give you the money for it. She says, tell me what you want. I'll go get it. He says, or we should get pizza because I'm getting shaded of chicken. She says, true. What pizza would we get? He says, I don't know. The Ohio pie is over there. He says, honestly, we could just get Chipotle, but last time they gave us gross food too. She says, I don't really want that either. He says, you don't want Chipotle or you don't want pizza? She says, no Chipotle. I'm about to be in the car with my mom. What food do you want? He says, pizza or Chinese. If you really want Wild Fusion, I'll probably get the same thing. He says, I can't really think of anything much else, you know? She said, babe, pick one. He said, sesame chicken. the dinner combo, and we want pot stickers. She said, bet. I'm getting it now. He said, bet. She said, hella traffic. So annoying. He says, how far? He said, get petroleum gel too. Like, he wants like Vaseline. He says, no glycerin or parabens. He sends a screenshot. He says, is it spelt right? Because it literally says this. Mackenzie says, okay, you're right. The next morning, he says, good morning, babe. Good morning, babe. I love you so much, he says. She says, good morning, babe. I love you. He says, how is Polaris? She says, I don't go in today. I just have a lot of online work and I just ran out of my face cream. He said, that's tough. I've just been doing nothing. She says, yeah, and Kendra has my math work. What's your plan today? He says, I don't know right now, nothing. She said, bet, can we hang? He says, yeah, probably depends on my dude sliding to town. She said, oh shit. He says, oh shit. She says, Kendra's dad had a stroke. I was with her right now. He says, he just had one. That's so sad. What's with everyone having strokes? She said, yep, last night. I feel so bad. She called me crying, so I picked her up, and he said, that's sad. She says, I know. He said, I just seen an OnlyFans bitch post on Snap. If your nudes get leaked, say they're mine. Mackenzie says, LMAO. He says, I was dead. She says, well, good to know. He says, right? She a real one. He says, you want to get food? She says, I was literally going to ask you, but can Kendra come? He says, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten. He said, to where? She said, we wanted to go get Jennifer's. He said, it's 2 p.m. She says, we're right there, or we can go to Condado. He says, it's not open. She says, I for real crave it. You have any ideas? He says, I don't know. I'll text you in a little. She says, but let me look at some food places. She says, are you okay? He says, what do you mean? I'm just chilling. She says, I just wanted to see if you were hurting. I feel bad. He says, oh yeah, it's not super bad. I'm just doing nothing still. I've been on my phone all day doing nothing. LOL. How's your nails? She says, who cares? Sometimes it's nice to just relax, and they're good. I'm fixing them with Kendra. Want to hang? He says, I don't know. He says, what are you doing? She says, we're wig shit, Kendra dipping at 7. Dom says, just hang with her. I'm going to chill. I need to order some food. What should I get? She says, I don't know. I'm also hungry. He says, yeah, I haven't ate anything today. She says, babe, why? She says, I only ate prosciutto. He says, I ate pineapple and fake Chinese. She says, pineapple sounds smack. He said, it's gone. There was only 3 pieces. She said, of course it is, LMAO. He said, I took part of a shroom bar and I'm straight tripping. I did not expect it. She said, oh God, LMAO. Want me to come over? He says, maybe. He says, I didn't notice till Blair pulled up. I'll send Snap. She says, I want a trip. That's funny AF though. He says, I did it by accident, LOL. That was at 6:57 p.m. And then the next morning he says, good morning, babe. I love you. Hey, babe. He says, I love you. Thanks for taking care of me last night, babe. So she must have gone over there and he was probably tripping on shrooms and she ended up taking care of him. Having no face cream. Yep, Vaseline will clear up the infection. No need for the doctor. Tay's just being sarcastic. For his chafing, yeah, no. We're moving past the Vaseline. Even high on shrooms, it's still a maybe. Dude. He said, thanks for taking care of me last night, babe. She said, hi, babes. He says, babe. She says, I'm working out. Want to hang today? He says, yeah, I'm going to be doing nothing till Noah plans to link up. She says, okay, bet. He says, you want to make breakfast? She said, yes. Why? When? Babe. He says, right now. She says, sure. When are you going to your homies? He says, I don't know. I texted him. She says, I'm coming. He says, don't come yet. Let me do my Wim Hof. If you're on the way, it's fine. She says, I'm here. He says, oh, okay. LOL. She says, you good? Wait, let me go see the date. So she says, you good? He says, yes, babe. Love you. She says, love you too. She says, so Kyle hit me up about dinner, babe. Do I dress nice? He says, look cute. She says, I will. He says, okay. She says, when do I come over? Babe. Babe. He says, I love you. Oh, wait. So there's a day skip. That's why we're confused. She says, babe. That was on 116 at 6:34 p.m. And then it jumps to 118. He says, I love you, babe. She says, hey, babes, morning. Love you too. He says, good morning, babe. Love you. She says, I'm about to do a fake tan right now. Are you excited? He says, LOL. Yeah. I'm about to Wim Hof in a sec. She says, I did some crystal shit a little ago. Now wait till 2 to shower. He says, do you have school today or are you just doing online? She said, no school. He says, no school at all. She says, nope. It's a holiday, I think. He said, oh. He says, okay. He said, MLK Day. She said, LMAO. Yeah, want to hang after my tan? He said, sure, let me Wim Hof and shower and see what else I got to do. She said, bet. She sends a kissy face. She says, what are you doing at 2 p.m.? He says, with Joey. She says, where are you at? She says, babe. He says, I'm drinking water. She says, come in your room, babe. Oh, so she must be over. She says, come in your room, babe. He says, okay. And then at 6:24 on 119, she says, good morning, babe. He says, good morning, babe. I love you. He says, did you have your microdose? She says, love you too, babe. How did you sleep? He says, pretty good. She says, I do have them. He said, nice. He says, have a good day at school, baby. She says, I'm not taking it till actual school, though. I already miss you. He says, yeah, that's a move. He says, he says, me too, babe. Send me that pic you have of me with the money. She said, what one? He says, you want good pic? She said, yes, babe. She says, I don't want to go to math. He says, LOL. She says, are we hanging after school? I for real hate class. He says, not right after. She says, gay. She sends a little emoji and he says, LOL. She says, Chris has COVID. McGovern. He says, I know. She says, effed. Is he okay? Dom says, yeah. He can't taste. Mackenzie says, wild AF. I'm about to go to school. Or no, I'm about to go shopping. He says, bet. He says, we chillin' with B later. She says, what are you doing? She said, sure, I'm down. Mackenzie says, I was talking to Miranda. He says, okay, you and Miranda decide what to do. She said, bet. When are we hanging? He said, I don't know. I'm hanging with Kyle, Sheen, and Blair right now. What is the plan? Mackenzie says, I can come over soon. All I know is we're probably going downtown. She says, we're going out to dinner somewhere downtown and we're picking B and her up. We found a place. He says, what, tonight? What place? It's already 7:20, babe. She says, yes, right now. We can go at 8. He says, babe, where? What the hell? She says, okay, or we don't have to go. Do you not want to go? He said, question mark, question mark. She says, never mind. He says, where? She said, never mind. He said, I asked where for the third time. She said, wait. He said, what time? She said, I'm driving. He said, what is that? She said, the chocolate bar. It's a restaurant. Then she said, I'm home. We can hang. He said, is that how it's spelled? She said, they stopped seating at 9. She sends a map. He says, why? She says, are you down? We both want to go there. It's up to you and B. He says, I haven't talked to B. She says, whatever. Let's just not go. He says, okay. She says, like, what are you doing? No, she says, like, what the F? She questions, chilling later. He says, what? She says, like, don't ask me if we're chilling later if you're just going to be all weird about the plan. Like, you tell me to pick, then question me. He says, you waited till it's 7:30 to tell me you wanted to go all the way downtown and have me spend a check. She says, I can literally pay. He says, and I don't know the food. They go there at all. She says, I can drive too. She says, like, if you wanted to go, you would. He says, nah, you're not going to be able to park. We'll just go another day. She says, you're really just about to find everything wrong about it. Like, B and Miranda, cool. Why do you have to be like this? He says, I'm not trying to deal with all of that for real. That's really doing the most on a Monday. She says, who cares what day it is? Why can't we just have fun? Like, I want to live life and have fun. He says, go do that then. She said, this is going to be fun. You're not letting it be fun. She says, wow, okay, cool. He says, because you know what I'm dealing with. I ain't trying to go nowhere, especially downtown. Nah, you could have told me earlier we would go downtown. She said, you were downtown the other night. I don't know why it's only an issue when you're with me, but okay. Like, this could have been a fun night that I was excited for. But of course, this happens. And she says, nothing, question mark. He says, what? She says, is this really how you're about to be? Like, you're going to do this? He doesn't respond, and she sends 4 question marks. She says, you're really not going to go to dinner? He says, Kenzie, I don't want to go to Cleveland. I'm uncomfortable. She says, then why the F did you ask me to effing make plans? WTF? She sends a screenshot. She says, like, what good idea gets my hopes up and excitement, then you do this. Why wasn't a problem when we went to dinner with Kyle? Dom says, okay, cool, go do that. She says, go to WGST. That made no sense. Okay, Dom, you just effed up. Bye. He says, okay, Kenzie. And by the way, B hit me up and told me y'all were trying to chill. So I asked you and you just told you to make the plans. And I don't want to go with Noah. I just kind of went because I had to. I forgot my backpack with them and I forgot his other stuff also. Kyle insisted on paying, and he barely comes to Cleveland. Like, that's totally different than just randomly going out on a Monday. I thought y'all would want to go look at the sunset or some shit, not leave to downtown for 3 hours. And then we're probably going to have to park in a parking garage and walk. And yeah, I ain't trying to do all that. I already smoked 2 woods today. I could never date Dom. Like, I could never do it. It just wouldn't be. No. Like, I would be going crazy. Sorry if I missed some of your comments I was reading. He has to entertain her, drive her around. Why does she think she's the Queen of England? That's doing the most on a Monday. You know, some people, when I used to do Melly After Darks, they're like, wow, Melly's going crazy on a Monday. So don't come for me, but I kind of like it. Do wishy-washy. Just Pepper says, I can't with her. How the F did they last as long as they did? I feel like, do you agree with me that you see Mackenzie becoming more like, she kind of defends herself a little more? And it seems like he's more interested in, like, he's still a DICK to her, but I think he's like doing more of what she wants this year. I could never date Mackenzie. Okay. He says, okay. And why I was saying I would never be able to date Dom, because like, I don't care if you smoke 2 woods. Smoke all the woods you want, but still be able to function and get your shit done. You know what I mean? I've always kind of been like that. I can really give 2 shits what anybody's doing. As long as you're a good person, you're not hurting children, and you're still getting your shit done and you're getting that money. Like, you could be shaking that ass on the corner every night and I would be there supporting. Like, facts. Anyways, so I just feel like if you want to smoke the woods, fine, do it. Just get your life together, get your shit together, and then smoke all the woods you want. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe that's not the best like advice in the world, but that's how I am. So don't know. Anyways, she says, so you're not trying to do anything now? You're not even going to try to hang out? He says, not really. Sorry, we're fighting, babe. I love you. I don't want to fight. She says, I love you too, babe. I never want to fight. That shit just sucked for me a lot, especially how you were texting me. Made me feel like you just don't care. He says, well, you weren't making total sense. Babe, I'm looking through the internet. I don't know if this is going to get better. Okay. So I'm assuming he's talking about the pandemic. She said, you don't know if what's going to get better. He said, the cracks. Oh, I thought it was about the pandemic, but he's talking about his chafing problem. Chafing. Oh my God. Dude, I'm having a field day up here. They talk like looking everywhere but the doctor. Kenzie is not the instigator and leaves in these texts. No, she's not. Chafing, not chafing. He says, I'm looking through the internet. I don't know if it's gonna get better. She says, you don't know if what's gonna get better. He says, the cracks. She says, babe, you need to go to the doctor. He says, I've been looking through Google and it's showing like exactly what I have. She said, if it's something bad, you gotta catch it soon enough. What is it? He says, people been to doctors 8+ times and they haven't done anything. She said, yeah, true. He said, it's literally just cracking. She said, holy shit, like the skin. He said, but there's no way to help or prevent it. He says, yeah, I'll send you a pic. She said, what is it called? Let me look it up. Babe, don't give up. He says, like, you know how the top half of my skin is sensitive? That's what it is pretty much. Also, I'm going to send you a pic. Whoa. And she says, bet, I'm in class right now, but show me. And yeah, what about it? He says, it's just cracked and sensitive. I don't know if there's a cure or if it's even anything. She said, is that what hurts? The lines? There has to be something, babe. This deaf isn't something uncommon. He says, it's pretty common, but I'm looking on sites and people like I've been dealing with this for 5 years. And then they go to the internet like Reddit or something. He says, like, these people haven't cured it. She said, what is it called? I want to look it up. She said, look up slight cracking on the head. It's too much for me tonight, you guys. I'm sorry. Dude. I like legit, I cannot deal with Dom's shit tonight. Like, you know what I mean? You know when you have like a really long day and you're just like, dude, I don't want to hear about cracking on the head. Like, tell a dog. Dude. Okay, let me try to move on past that. I don't mean to sound immature, but it's just like, what? Which not like this head. I'm doing skincare right now, says the fox. Dude, we don't. Miss Ward says his hot dog. Reese says I'm so confused. Dude, I cannot anymore. You guys are way too funny. This is way too funny. His pickle. Okay, let's move on. Dude, I can't. Okay. He said, like, look it up. It's like cracking on the head. She says, but babe, I'm going to try really hard to find stuff to help you. I hate you seeing you all in pain. He says, yeah, I'm about at the end. She said, the end of what, babes? He says, of tolerating it. If I'm stuck with this, I'm going to just take perks till it's over. Dude, what the? Okay, this is when you need like a parent to be like, settle down, just go to the doctor and get some triamcinolone cream, some antibiotics. You have like chlamydia or something. I don't know. Get it checked out, get it taken care of, move on with your life. You don't have to overdose on the Percocets because you have a rash on your pee-pee. Percocet for a skin rash, great idea. Does he have the No, I don't think he even has anything. I'm just saying. I think he just has like a rash. It's probably just like exasperated eczema. You know what I mean? I don't know. Put some coconut oil on there. coconut oil cream. Dear God, says Perks and poison ivy. Dude, I cannot with you guys. What's wrong with all of you? Oh. Diane. Diane, no, we're not trying to be cruel. Oh no, Diane, we're really not. I promise. We're not trying to be cruel. We know he's going through issues. It's, what if he's actually just talking about his feet? Oh. Apparently it's not Patty. Dom's diaper. Okay, maybe he just has. Okay, you're right. Maybe it is his feet. He's such a drama queen. Okay. I'm genuinely confused. Oh my God. I don't want you guys to think I'm being cruel. Babelets. I'm not trying to be cruel. Great. Great. Here we go. Here we go with people coming for me. They're going to be like, you're so mean. Dom is not here. And he had chafing. And you were sitting there making fun of him, Melly, on your live. We're going to unsubscribe. You're a bully. That's like the type of shit I get too, you guys. He shouldn't be sleeping around. Lala says I'm not offended easily. They put it out there. It's in the evidence files, you guys. If you have a problem, please write to whatever this detective's name is and let him know. Bitchless, says Keith. Okay, let's move on. He says, I'm just stuck with it. I'm going to take perks till it's over because I won't be able to enjoy anything. She says, babe, no. He says, can't sleep right, can't exercise, can't really even go anywhere. I really can't do anything. I can't even drive. She says, you can't just do drugs when something isn't right. We're going to find a good way. He says, when something will never be right, that's okay. She says, trust me, babe. I'm literally looking everywhere for something to help. Like, I'm so serious. He says, no, I do it every morning. You're going to look through all the same things I have already looked through. I can't enjoy life. I'm going to enjoy the perks. I still got like a week too before he said to go back. She says, okay, babe, please don't start anything until you go back to the doctor. At least wait the week. He says, I don't know if I'm going to even go back. They probably won't do anything. She said, babe, you're going to go back. Like, if you really want an answer, just keep going till you get one. He says, I told you that I've read several articles with people with the same problem where doctors didn't do anything. Even the pictures they showed looked just like mine. She said, babe, there's so many doctors. Like, give it a chance. He says, I know. She says, please. He says, and all those doctors didn't do anything. She says, babe, if you gotta have some hope, I really don't want you in pain. He says, I did. And now I'm really sad. She says, babe, I have hope for you. You still need to have hope. I'm here to help you and be there for you, babes. When your pee-pee's falling off from chafing. She didn't say that. I said that. I'm sorry. I said that. She just said up to, I'm here for you, babes. Okay. I'll start being a jackass. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. My head's cracked. Apparently mine is too. Sassy Pants says, don't come. I love it here, says LJ. It's just because Ken's never showers. Like, I didn't think I was gonna come here and have to play doctor for like eczema on the PP. It seems like he's just trying to justify taking perks. Yeah, honestly. Dude, at this point, you don't even have to go to the doctor. Like, all you have to do is do a telehealth call. Send a picture in, let him know, get that antibiotic, get it taken care of. No big deal. Just move on with your life. But like, the fact that he's like, I need to take Percocets for a rash. Patty, stop. It's not necessary to take the Percocets. Call a nurse, says LJ. Okay. She says, I'm gonna be there for you, babes. He says, yeah, I don't know. It's pretty chalked. She says, babe, please have hope. He said, I think it could get better, but it hasn't really. Maybe a little. She says, just watch what you wear, put on it, and do. And you already do that. Just be extra careful. And when you go back to the doctor, tell him that's what you've been doing and it's not getting better. He said, that's 8 days from now. Honestly, I'm about to have a mental breakdown. It's been a couple days from a full month. Oh, okay. Um, Gosh, please don't unsubscribe from me because of this. It's not my fault. Like, it's not my fault, you guys, that this is in the text. Don't get mad at me. Now I feel guilty. I'm like, am I shaming someone because of their pee? Like, they're having issues. Like, am I being mean? Do I need to end this live and go cry in my bed? Like, STI won't treat himself. He just needs, I'm mad at you, Melly, says Sarah. He just needs amoxicillin or maybe penicillin. I don't know. It's like it's a couple days. I think the most is like 14 days. Pop one tablet twice a day, baby. I work in big pharma, so I'm like totally just pop all the pills. Just take all the antibiotics. Humor is sometimes a way to deal with hard subjects. I work in healthcare, so I'm like all about it, but I'm just concerned that he's self-diagnosing himself and thinking he needs to take Percocets for a rash. At least take penicillin, right? It's the voodoo doll. It could be ticka ticka. It could be. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Stop, Tay. I'm so done with you guys. You guys are too funny. It's gonna get me in trouble. He says it's been a couple days from a full month. Like 3 days, it's a full month. She said, I feel your pain, babes. I miss you, but I don't want to make anything worse for you. He says, honestly, it's perk time, probably. She said, only one and not every day. This is so stressful, she says. He says, yeah, I'm freaking out. I'm done. I'm killing myself. Oh my God. Melly, please tell me you're not one of those rug reps. I'm not, babes. I'm actually making it. Like I'm in the laboratory. Okay, settle down. I'm licensed for it in the state. Chill out. I'm not just a rug dealer out here. But anyways. Okay, so let's go back to this. Okay, it's not worth unaliving yourself. Let's get this party going. Oh, don't tell me about party, baby. Wash your hands. I agree with antibiotics. His ass is infected. Don't touch the dabs and touch your nether. I'm dead. Not the dabs. Not the dabs giving a rash. Penis illin. Some people might pronounce it just like that. Melly's like Dexter in her laboratory. I figured I need to start doing like lives on my life because I feel like I've been writing a book on my life for the last like 10 years. And I feel like at some point, I think you guys would be like, what the hell? What schooling do you need for your job? You just got to shake that ass, baby. He's too embarrassed to go to a doctor. Okay, he says, I'm killing myself. Oh, I was just joking about that. There's a lot. We can talk about it on a Melly After Dark. He says, I don't know when. I just took a perk and a Xanax. What? True, Melly. Okay, so when Let me make an announcement to you guys real quick. When you have a rash, please just call the doctor up, get some triamcinolone, get some acyclovir cream, take some amoxicillin, penicillin, just whatever, and just like chill out. You don't have to take a perk. You don't have to take a Xanny. It's not that serious. Getting crossfaded for a rash. I'm going to do this. I work in the healthcare industry. I'm going to do this with my doctor. I'm going to pretend I have a rash and I'm going to be like, can you prescribe me Percocets, please? She's going to look at me like I'm insane. She's going to be like, are you all right? Like, do you need to go to the mental hospital? And I'll be like, probably. You have an unexplained rash. This masks the pain with fent. Oh my God, stop. Okay, he says, I took a perk in his hand. She says, WTF? Are you effing kidding me? Whoa, this escalated quickly. Okay, whoa. All seriousness. She says, are you effing kidding me? He says, F you. What? Dude, she didn't even do anything. Hey, Celie. Oh gosh, my phone. That is really weird. That is really weird. My phone just turned on Siri and like Siri was like listening to me. Not the feds listening to me. Just kidding. I'm getting paranoid. Um okay, let's move on. Yeah. Kaysen says she pressed the gas pedal. That was she not me not being able to talk English. She pressed the gas pedal. That was enough. Oh, Cree just figured it out. Haha, she said Sally and she thought you said Siri. Siri, mind your own effing. Oh my God. I just turned it on again. I was like, mind your business. And I see my phone going off over there. Okay, anyways. He says F you. She says WTF. He says, don't call me on some shit. She says, what the F made you think it was okay to text me that while at school? You know how my anxiety is. He says, okay, I won't do that. She said, sad the fact that you took both together. I for real don't know what to do. He said, I started tweaking, so I did just that. I don't know what they mean by tweaking in their minds, like in this back in 2021. Tweaking for me, though, meant like they were on substances and like, I'm just confused. He takes the perks to deal with her. Save the Xannies for me. Celie? Stop it. It's fine. I'd be the one saying like save the drinks for me. Tweaking means freaking out. Well, apparently here he's tweaking on the perks. This low key feels like a cry for help. Yeah, it is. Are we talking about rugs? Says Robert. Thank you, Marvin Melendez, for becoming a new member and joining Mellyverse. You get all the Melly after darks, and you never know what you're gonna get there. Depends on my mood, what I'm down to do. Sometimes it's PG. Sometimes it's we're adulting over there. Yes, we are, Robert. Time to have some fun. Sometimes stoners said they were tweaking. No, tweaking was like a meth thing back when I was in high school. I know that's a little excessive. Okay, let's move on. He says, I started tweaking, so I did just that. She says, drugs isn't the answer, especially mixing two bad ones. I try so hard to help you, and then you just do shit like that. He says, well, there's nothing to really do now. I'm high. I don't care that much, though. I don't know how to say what I want to say without YouTube coming for me because they're probably already coming for me. I think for Dom, it's much more than just like being in the moment and pain. And I think he is a rug user, an abuser, and a regular. Like, I know people are going to be like, how are you talking about that? Like, but Melly, he's a victim. And I'm like, well, no shit. I get that. I'm not trying to victim blame. I just think he has a substance abuse problem. That's all. Oh my gosh. No, people really come for me in the comments sometimes, you guys. They're like, but Melly, why would you say that? And I'm like, well, because it's the truth. We're seeing it out of the evidence package. Like, I didn't just pull these out of all the text threads and decided, you know what I mean? Like, this was what they thought was important. And I think Dom has a substance abuse problem here. She says, is Miranda going to be there? Can I come? He says, no, be chilling with her later. She says, oh, okay, have fun. She said, I posted on Instagram. He said, okay. She said, what are you doing? He said, just got home. She says, want to hang? He says, maybe. Wait, did we? Let me go back. I wanted to see if we skipped it. Oh, no, it's still 120. She says, what are you doing? He says, just got home. She said, want to hang? He says, maybe. He says, want to chill after I go to Trevor's? She said, yes, I do. When are you going? He says, soon. He says, about to eat some bacon, get some gas, and go. She says, oh no, that's a typo. Bet, let me know as soon as you leave. He says, okay, babe. She says, I'm about to eat. So let me know if you want to get food. He says, what are you getting? He says, I kind of want Chick-fil-A. She says, I don't know. I'm really hungry. He says, I'll talk to you when I leave Trevor's. She says, how long? I don't know what to wear to school tomorrow. She says, I'm really stressed. I for real just have a lot of anxiety. I hate school. He says, think about it like this. 99% of the people you'll never see again that you've seen in high school. She said, it's not the people, it's the teachers and the work. And that doesn't help. He said, oh, I thought you meant an outfit. She said, question mark, question mark. He said, what? What's up? My phone was charging. She said, when are you leaving Trevor's? You've been there for a while. She says, been waiting to eat because you said you wanted Chick-fil-A. I didn't think you were going to be there for a long time. He says, babe, you could have ate. I still don't have gas. I had Blair drive me. He says, do you want Swanson's? She said, why aren't you just going to get gas? He says, I didn't want to take the time. She said, bruh, when are you leaving? Because I'm not just going to sit here and wait. He says, okay, I'll leave in a sec. She said, my anxiety bad AF today. I've been on the peak of tweaking the F out all day long. That's what she said. She said, this is really annoying AF. And then she sends 10 question marks, 3 more. She says, I can't find an outfit. Babe, if I take one more effing day I have, it doesn't. Okay, let's start over. If I take one more effing day I have, it doesn't give me smoke. I'm for real gonna flip out. I seriously wasted like 4 dabs today because of like barely any smoke coming. I'm about to just break into my good savings. She said, babe, it's hard to sleep without you, babe. He says, why would you keep taking them? The dabs I give you expensive AF, like WTF. Your coil are probably just dirty AF, but don't waste all my good ass dabs. I'll stop giving you them. She said, okay, you could have just said, don't take any more, babe. I'll figure it out. He said, well, if it didn't work the first time, I don't know why you would try 3 more times. I pay $70 a gram. Every time you want to take a dab or get high, that's $7. She says, Dom, I didn't take 4 dabs in a row. It was throughout the day. Some of them work and some of them didn't. She said, do you know why I told you? I didn't think you would get mad. He said, okay. She said, like, honestly, WTF. I come to you for help and you get mad. What type of shit is that? He says, I just got mad because I thought you were wasting my dabs. He says, I'll F with it later. She said, no, babes. I'm very conservative with my dabs. He said, okay, babe. Love you. She says, love you, Dom, baby. She says, can I stop over on my way back from Polaris and get bud? He says, I don't have any, babe. She said, I need just anything. My dab isn't working. Well, it's just not hitting right. He says, let me fix it. She says, babe, I have to go to school and I want to smoke before school. He says, I shouldn't even have gave you weed. She said, why? What the F is your issue? I did nothing to you. I just tried to give you kissy and you turned me down. She said, want me to bring it back? He says, well, I didn't know you had school. Just thought you were going to go and chill and smoke. She says, bruh, what? I'm at home until 11:40. You're confusing the F out of me. He says, okay. She says, why are you being so mean? He says, I don't want to be like that. But you know, I get mad. You can't just come in and be doing shit. Like you bursted in my door for weed while I was laying down, then got snow on my floor. She says, babe, I busted in the room because I was excited to see you. Why are you acting like I'm always trying to get you mad? Like when you're mad, it affects me too. And it literally stresses me out. Why would I want that? He said, do you know anything about dinner? She said, what about? He said, never mind. He told us we're all going to dinner. Then he was trying to bring his girl and we wasn't with that. So now he's not. Mackenzie says, Miranda told me we're on the way, that we're all going. And Dom said, what? Mackenzie says, Miranda told me that we're all going to dinner yesterday. He says, today? She says, I don't know when. Dom says, oh, okay, because we're not today. She said, I thought you were going to tell me, LMAO, so you're not talking about the same thing? He said, no, here's what happened. We were all going to go out to dinner today and we're like all hyped to go. And then we're like, Kyle, you're going, and then blah, blah, blah. And he was like bringing the girls. And I'm like, nah. And B was like, I was going to bring Miranda. So then me and Jared are like, nah. And then he like saying stuff and we like, B, you didn't tell us that we were all hyped up for a squad meetup. So then he and Miranda, you can't go. She says, fun. He says, yeah. She said, so you were the one who ruined it for the girls coming. Cool, she says. Dom says, I'm just not going to go. She said, just go. Who cares? I don't care. He says, I don't want to. She said, why? He said, because I don't want to. She said, okay, that's fine, but don't be mad at later tonight because you didn't go. He said, okay. She said, I'm guessing you don't want to hang. He says, I'm not really doing anything. She said, so yes or no? He says, probably not, because I'm still got to do that. She said, do what? He said, go to the dinner. She said, oh, so still no girls? He says, I think they're counting on me for a ride. He said, I mean, as of right now, yeah. She said, oh. He said, so I ruined it for the girls? And she said, well, yeah. You said no girls. I wanted to go with you. Babe, what is happening with you? He said, what? She says, like, why are you being mean as fuck? Tell me why. Right now. Like, what did I do? Question mark, question mark. He says, I'm not trying to be mean as fuck. She says, then what the F are you trying to do? He says, saying, so I ruined it for the girls was mean. She says, you've been mean all day. She emphasizes her message. She said, it's not even that, but you did low key. Like, you don't want me to come for no reason. He says, I don't even want to go anyways. She said, babe, go. I'm just saying you for real been mean to me. Like, why are you not answering? I really hope this doesn't last. Are you for real not going to call? And he says, what? She said, okay, cool. When did you give up? He said, on what? I'm just having a really bad day. I just felt like shit all day, I guess. But that's like every day for me, LOL. And she says, you're putting in effort for me, babe. I try so hard to make you happy. I really want to help you. Like, why don't you just tell me you feel like shit? He doesn't respond. And she says, I'm done. He says, I'm sorry I left you on red. She said, nah. He says, I didn't know what to say. He says, you're done with what? She said, when are you going to start being nice? When are you going to start putting effort in me, babe? Like, I feel like you just gave up on me. He says, what are you done with? She says, you straight up turned me down on huggies and kissies and this combo. You literally been so mean all day. And then you just leave me on red and ignore my calls. Like, that's what you used to do to me last year. And Dom says, whatever, I try. She says, see, you just gave up right there. Like, what happened? Tell me right now. He says, I don't like when you bring up this old old this, old that. I used to do this. I used to do that. And Mackenzie says, how about you focus on what I'm telling you? This is literally what I'm talking about. I'm about to freak out. Literally, WTF. He says, what? She says, so we're not hanging today. Never mind. Just never mind. You just want to be mean. He says, I'm on the way. I'm over this BS. She said, cool. He says, I'm sorry, babe. I know I've been bad to you, but I'm going to work on myself and I'm going to be better for you. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. He says, I know I've been missing what you guys are saying. He says, I'm sorry. I know I've been bad to you, but I'm going to work on myself and I'm going to be better for you, babe. This is such a wild dynamic that we're seeing here. She's gaslighting him big time. I just feel like Mackenzie is more dominant here. Like she's more like when she was like, I'm done, fine, bye. Like I think this in 2021, we're seeing him be more like looking for her and like wanting her approval and like he's saying I love you more. What a flip. That's right, Cree. Kenzie's kisses are lethal. Mine aren't though, baby. So when Kenzie would bring Dom's laundry over, it was actually her mom doing it. Does Natalie know how to do laundry? Jesse Hay says, but he adds a lot to the story. He complains of his mom and his brother every day almost. So his mom saw him breaking shit daily and he told her what was going on and still nothing was done. That's wild. Yes, Jess Hay. Mandy says they were both addicted to the fighting and the toxicity. Agree. Wink, wink. Then again, these two didn't involve their parents in their lives. Yeah. The roles are reversed, Amy. Amy Truth wins. I agree. Sounds like the pills are working for Dom. He says, I'm going to be better for you, babe. He says, I'll talk to you tomorrow. So he says, I'll talk to you tomorrow at 6:43 a.m. So like they went from speaking throughout the night and then he's texting her at 6:43 a.m. He says, good morning, babe. I love you. She says, love you too, babe. He says, babe, my blank hoodies came in. She said, that's cool AF. Do you have a design yet? And he sends a picture of the design. He says, kissy lips. She said, aw, love you so much. I'm putting my phone away for class. He says, I love you too. Oh, geez. He says, my peen almost better. She said, OMG, that's really good. This sub pissing me off. He says, LOL. She says, OMG, you didn't just do that. Like, wait, what? Let me go back. So she says a sub sucks. So 12:15, she says, OMG, you didn't just do that. Like, are you joking or something? There's no way you just did that. He says, it's such a big deal. She said, yes, it is. What are you doing? He says, I'm doing this stuff with Disty. Check signal. She said, KK. He says, what are you doing now, babe? She says, I'm at the mall with Paige. She says, I can come over though. She sends a picture of sunglasses. Then she says, if you get the blue ones, you can twin with me. He says, get me the orange ones. What size they got? She says, hold on. I don't have any money. I'm going back now. What size? He says, oh, never mind then. They really ain't worth the money. He says, we'll twin with different shoes. Oh, it was shoes, not sunglasses. She says, I can put money on my Cash App. Let me know, though. I have the blue ones. He says, how much are they? She said, $190. She says, babe, can I take some money off the Cash App for a little outfit for Valentine's Day? He says, of course, babe. Only if you look super cute. She says, you already know. You're going to die. I got a little outfit. He says, yay. She says, you're going to love it. He says, as long as you're wearing it. She says, I want to come over. Dom, babe. He says, come over. She says, on the way. I'm there. He says, how's it going? Oh, wait, that was on. She says, on the way. That was on 122 at 7:48 p.m. Then the next day she says, I'm there. He said, how's it going? She says, stressful. He says, did you get blood taken? She says, not yet. He said, what's happening so far? She says, I've just been waiting for so long. And he says, damn. He says, I hate that. She says, it's so annoying. I just pissed in a cup. He said, let me get sip. She says, okay, here. I don't know what that means. She says, they want me to get blood work. I don't want it. He says, just tell them not to take a lot. She says, I'm scared. I don't want to get it. She says, babe. He says, babe, you will be okay. I had it done twice. It's not bad. He said, just relax. She says, I've done it a lot. He said, Wim Hof breathing. She said, I'm just scared. I don't know how. I forgot. He says, just Wim Hof breathe. Deeply in stomach. She says, I'm just so stressed right now. She said, what's the app? He says, then in the chest, then let it go. He says, Wim Hof method. And he sends a screenshot of it. He said, it's right next to WhatsApp. She said, got it. He said, deeply in stomach. Then chest and head. I can never really breathe in my head. Just imagine. Then let go fully. Then let go, not fully exhale. Just let go. Make the breathing circle. She says, okay, I'll try. I don't know. I'm scared. He says, you'll be okay. She says, they want me to get an IV now in my arm. I wish you were here. My mom is not helping at all. He said, that's for the blood. She said, and to put fluids in me. He says, I'm sorry, babe. I should have came. He said, oh. She said, I'm scared. She said, just let them, babe. She said, I don't want to. It's going to hurt. She says, I'm crying. He says, I wish I was there to hold you. Is she at the hospital? I don't want to give blood. Dude. I'm sorry. Is this for real? She was really scared about giving blood. And she's with her mom too. I don't know. He says, I wish I was there. I would hold you. He says, do it for me. She says, babe, I'm really scared. He says, get it done for me. He says, if you do good, I'll get you something. What the hell? These are two high school kids. Like, just get your blood work done and shut up. Planned Parenthood? Cherry said she's at Planned Parenthood. Really? She doesn't like doctors, dentists, or medical. No, remember the 10 cavities? Oh, Stacy says, but the shaft shouldn't chafe. That's bizarre. Bomber, hey. Currently looking for a place to rent and it ain't fun. Oh, bomber. Mackenzie was texting his mom and used that every time he started talking about unaliving himself, so she knew what was going on. That's why I think the family felt guilty. Just guessing. Good guess, Cherry. Okay, he says, it's good if you do good, I'll get you something. She sends a picture of herself in a mask at the doctor's or whatever. He says, or take you somewhere. Babe, relax. Nothing will happen. She said, it's going to hurt really bad. He said, babe, it doesn't. She says, babe, I got an IV last summer. He says, babe, I don't know what to say. You knew you were going to get blood work. At least let them take the blood. She says, I didn't know it would be with IV. He says, you have to, or nothing is going to get better. You don't do this, you're going to regret it. No regrets. She sends a picture of herself in the doctor's office. She says, they trying to do it right now. I'm so scared. He said, it's okay, babe. She said, they're filling 4 tubes. He says, do you want to talk on the phone? She's like, yes. He's like, 4 tubes? Why? Oh my. I just have nothing to say. I'm like speechless. For STD testing. Oh. They give her a little lollipop and a sticker. After he watched The Detective with mom, he been repeating. Yes. Yes, Ash. Hey, Ash Bish, girl. Just guessing. I'm just sick of their shit right now. Like, she's like, what, 16 here? I don't know. Like, you've had a blood draw before. Like, chill out. She says, I don't know. It hurts so bad. I'm shaking. He says, did you get it done? It's okay, babe. It's over now. I'm proud of you, babe. She says, it's hurting. I'm in hella pain. He's like, babe, you'll be okay. She says, the fact that you laugh when I told you what's wrong with me, and then you didn't even care enough to text or call me back after I hung up on you. Oh, so they were talking on the phone. She says, you know how much this has been affecting me. He says, I laughed, question mark. Well, babe, you're mad because I went to BS to Blair's, babe. It's okay. It's not going to affect you at all. You have to do is smoke CBD during the day and you can still smoke weed and you'll get more high off weed too. She says, like, if you just got out of the hospital, I would be rushing to see you. Okay, so she was in the hospital. He says, babe, I'm sorry. I promised other people shit too. I kind of have to talk to Trevor. I won't be there long though. She says, okay, I would think I'm the most important or at least a top priority. He says, you are, but Trevor's been stressed. I'm at Trevor's, leaving in a little. He says, I'm home. She says, I'm with Megan and Haley at the mall. Wait. So she's guilt tripping him, like, come home. You're not there for me. Like, I need you. I need you. And then she's like, I'm at the mall with my friends. Oh my God. I can't. I wonder why she went to the hospital. Kenzie is where she needs to be. She ain't built for this life. Maybe that's why Dom was being so nice to her because she was pregnant and he wanted her to get an abortion. You think? I don't think she was pregnant. You guys think she was pregnant? I don't think she was. I don't think she was. Okay, she says, at the mall. He says, for sure, get me food. She says, I will. He says, and some underwear. She says, what size? He says, medium, boxer briefs. She said, love you so much. He said, love you too, babe. She said, what brand? Can I come over now? Babe? Dom? 6 question marks. No response. She says, okay. 9. I'm going to fall asleep if you don't answer. I don't know what is going on. He said, yeah, at 11:41. Wow. So she texted him at 8:19 p.m. and he responds at 9:51. He says, yeah. He says, I've just been laying down at 11:41. She says, are you okay? He says, I fell asleep at like 7, but yeah, I'm okay. The next morning, well, at midnight, she says, hi, babe. Wait, what? Yeah, that was at 1 in the morning. She says, hi, babe. I'm about to fall asleep. It was a typo. He says, me too. He says, talk tomorrow. Then he texts her at 7:34 in the morning. He says, good morning, babe. I love you. She says, I love you, babe. Good morning. He says, good morning. Love you. She says, what are you doing? What are you going to do today? He says, I don't know. I just got up. I got to do laundry. He says, I kind of need new phone too. Did you get underwear for me? She says, yeah, I did. He says, bet. She says, why you need a new phone? She says, I kind of need one too. He says, because I broke my other one. She said, oh shit. He said, check Snap. He said, you good? She said, P. I'm about to not have outfit. This isn't going well. Kendra Def isn't helping. He said, babe, it's an outfit. Just wear one you wore a while ago. Mackenzie says, babe, I have no ideas. I feel like I'm going to just be sitting there doing nothing. Dom says, babe, you're definitely making it harder for yourself than it needs to be. You can definitely find an outfit. You have hella outfits. She said, nothing is standing out to me. I don't wear any of this stuff. And Kendra, then most annoying MF to have help pick out an outfit, and I have no starts. Okay, so here she said no starts. I thought it was totally something else, but apparently a start is like the base of your outfit. I'm like, the base? Like, I don't give a shit. I just pull out my outfit from the closet. I just make sure it matches. She's way too stressed out about her outfits. She doesn't have any. I couldn't deal with the up and downs and down. Yeah, no, we can't start. Yeah, it's like the base of an outfit. I don't know. I'm like, what are you? The tip? Not the tip. I'm like, what does she think she's Louis Vuitton? Like, she's over there like, I need the base to my outfit. Like, this is just too much for me. She says, I have no starts. She said, this is just terrible. He says, it can't always stand out to you. She says, babe, well, it needs to be, or I won't be comfy. He says, why comfy? She says, like, you could have just came and helped me really quick. He says, no, babe. She said, yes, babe. He said, you can dress yourself. She said, I would have helped you. She said, okay, cool. He said, I'm sorry, but like, I can't tie your shoes every day. Wow. Never heard of that term in my life. Well, I thought it was something different. The last time, a couple lives ago, when she said it, I thought she meant, like, I thought it was totally something else. Until someone in the comments was like, it's the first item, it's like the base of your outfit. I'm like, the base of my outfit is my underwear. Thank you very much. She's best dressed in jail. Her mom's all proud. The base, the shaft, the head. Stop it, Mandy. Mandy, you're killing me right now. Okay. He says, I'm sorry, but I can't tie your shoes every day. And she's like, I'm not asking you to tie my shoes. I'm asking you to help me pick an outfit. Well, 5 outfits. So my week is less stressful. I don't know what's so hard about all of this. Wait, she's upset because she's trying to pick out her outfits for 5 days. Does she literally think she is Kim Kardashian? Wait, it would be Kendall because she's a model. What the is going on? She's stressing about picking out 5 outfits. They're only in high school. They're only in high school. Pick your own damn clothes, says Ash. I feel like I'm gonna have to start coming on a live and have you guys pick my outfits. No one cares, says Ash. So this bitch depends on Dom for every dude. This is next level neurotic. Sometimes I feel like, is this even really real? Or am I drunk on this live and like you guys aren't really here? She says my week is less stressful. I don't know what's so hard about all of this. She says, like, if you asked me to help you, I would help you, but I guess it's only one-sided. He said it's a figure of speech. And no, it's not one-sided. You just make it really hard for yourself. He says, I've helped you before. I'm not losing sleep over what you wear to school. She said, my anxiety is at its lowest when I look good. Damn, you're not even sleeping right now. He says, Kenzie, you remember? She said, stop acting like you're not watching the game or hanging out with everyone. Like, I have to beg for help. I shouldn't have to beg. He says, you have to beg for help to get dressed. Like, come on, Kenzie. He sends a screenshot. She says, you still don't get it. He sends another screenshot. She says, I'm for real done. He says, 17 minutes, babe. She said, okay, babe, next time you're mad AF, I'm going to Google how long it takes for someone not to be mad. Well, the average time. I'm just going to start doing that for anything you do. So you better hope you do it in the average time. He says, I can't find it. She sends a screenshot. She says, so you have 20 minutes. So chill out. So you have 20 minutes next time. Like, let's not make any issues seem smaller because you don't give a single F about them. He sends a screenshot of something. He says, I do. You should just figure out what to wear on your own. Just how I should figure out how not to be angry on my own. He says, I don't ask your help. I don't ask you to help me not be angry. She says, you're literally an asshole. He says, how? She says, if you cared about my anxiety and stress, you would help. And you wouldn't have Googled how long. I'm not the effing average person, and I never will be. So you don't understand, because I'm willing to help you through all your issues. You just have to help me through mine. He says, I will help, but getting dressed, you do on your own. She says, wow. He says, I don't think this is something that I should help with. She says, I don't give an F what you think. I didn't ask, what do you think one time? I asked if you could help me pick 5 outfits for this week so I don't have to effing stress about it before bed, like this. And of course, that's what you say. Never ask me for help again. You can never help me with shit. He says, I said, send me pictures. She says, like, maybe if you considered my issues important, but of course you don't, because it doesn't mean anything to you. He said, babe, it's literally an outfit. She said, like, your issues are my top priority. You're literally doing it again. He says, I help you with anything else that I can. She says, stop gaslighting. He says, I don't know what gaslighting is. She says, cool. The one thing that's the hardest that I go through every week, you can't help with. It's like, if you were asking me this, I would help you and be there as long as you need. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Okay, or just stop answering. Bet. He's like, I'm not good at helping you with it. You can send me pics. I'll tell you what I like. She said, well, it's effing hard over the phone. If you just came with me in the first place, it would have been a lot easier. But no, you had to stay. Like, I can't even effing pick out a shirt. He says, well, the football game is on and I'm tired. She says, you say I'm top priority and then you say shit like this. He said, let's look it up on Google. She said, what's not effing do that? That shit doesn't help. Do you know I'm just going to be done texting you if you're going to keep saying Google for answers? And he says, I'm about to for real get mad. Like, I don't get it. Like, what makes the outfit hard? Like, it couldn't be that hard. She says, of course, you just don't get it. He says, of course I don't. I don't get it for real. He says, you pick black pants or what matches with black, etc., etc. Okay, so what shoes match with both of those, etc., etc. Okay, and then pick out a jacket. And she says, no. He says, done. She says, see, you just get mad anytime I ask for help, like WTF. So comforting. He says, bruh, I'm going to bed. She says, okay, so you're not going to help? He said, I told you, send me pics. If not, then yes, I'm not helping. She says, how can I send you pictures when I can't even pick one item? So you're going to do me like that? He says, how are you ever going to get dressed on your own if you can't even pick one item? Mackenzie says, I'm so done talking to you. You can't even effing think for 1 second to understand. I'm done trying to explain this to you. You don't even care. And he's like, wear the red polo pants, I guess. And okay, because this is really putting me in a shitty mood. I feel like shit every day anyways. So who cares? Like, I'm about to effing freak out. Like, the F, I sent you K for your birthday and you def have clothes to wear. I used to wear the same joggers 3 times a week in 7th grade. Who cares what you wear? Mackenzie says, oh my God, it's not about having clothes. You're not listening to me. Dom says, so you have all the clothes, you just can't match the colors? She says, if I, myself, does not feel comfy, plus confident in my outfit, I will have a bad day and will stress out all day. Are we for real? Like, what the hell? Is she 3? Oh no, Cree. 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 Oh no. I'm sorry. I have to go back. I have to go back. I have to go back. Um Can't believe getting dressed is the hardest thing she does all week. They deaf feed off of each other. Why is he still responding to her right now? Mallory says your issues, Mackenzie, are stupidity, effing clothes. Get a freaking life. LJ says I'm exhausted. Question mark, emphasize, emphasize. You know, I never do that. I'm gonna start doing that when people ignore my text. I got you, boo. I got you, Cree. I don't know what that was about. F you, Mackenzie Shirilla, says Bomber. She's so stupid here, says Valerie. She had a lot of clothes. Yeah, I know. I haven't posted the videos about the Snapchats, but like you see how much clothes she has and stuff there. I feel like that as a teenager. I never pull the D&D. They're too stoned to be in a relationship. First world problems. Mallory says this is stupid. Mandy says orange Crocs or orange slides. I just okay, even in high school, I didn't trip out like this. I think it's different for everyone. Like whatever's going on in your high school and like bullying and like what's in style at the time. But like I never cared this much about my outfit. I did care about like my purses. That was like a thing when I was in high school. But like I didn't ask my boyfriend to pick my clothes and my outfits out for me. Hot Mess says she really thought 17 magazine was going to discover her. I wanted 17 magazine to discover me. Um Okay, anyways, let's continue. Okay, so she says, okay, so she's like, I'm gonna stress out all day because of my outfit. She said, no, it's not about anyone but me. Mackenzie says, but you probably don't get it. Dom says, so how do I help you with that? Because I've never been able to help you. There's been there's been nights it's 9 p.m. Mackenzie says, well, if you had just came here like I begged you to, could have just picked a few outfits with me, but no. He says, you keep me up till 12 with your outfits. Babe, no, I'm tired AF. Even right now, I want to go to bed. So it's 9:19 p.m. He says, like, what the F? She says, well, I left at 8, so it's too late now. He says, you know, I'm uncomfortable. She says, we could have had them all picked out by now. He says, you know, I don't want to drive in the cold. She says, your car literally pre-starts. He says, you know, I don't want to be half asleep at your house and have to drive home in in the car. Oh, in the cold. She said, you can start your car from inside the house. You wouldn't care about any of those things if you cared about my stress. He said, it doesn't get totally warm. She said, I will do all that shit to come help you pick out outfits. I don't care how cold or how late it is. He said, I'm not losing sleep over clothes. She said, I would do it for you because you mean a lot to me. She says, you know what? Never mind. Go the F to bed. I don't care. He said, like, come on. If you were hurt or hungry, you know I'm on the way or something else, but it's an outfit. Here, I'll study the science of girls not being able to pick out an outfit, and I'll pick out your outfit every week. Just give me 3 to 4 months at least. And yeah, I'm going to bed because my eyes hurt from looking at my phone too long, but you didn't understand that for 3 years anyways. Because we're in 2021, remember? Wow. They're still talking about this? Yes. They're trying to pick out an outfit. Now I want you guys to pick out my outfits. That's what you have girlfriends for, to help you pick out outfits, not your boyfriends. He takes a cute on outfit is so codependent. Okay, I'm gonna have to drop the snap here or something so you guys can help me pick out my outfits. Real world problems, dang. Just pick, dude. 5 out. No, Melly, we're in 2025, says Robert. She's that stressed out about her outfits. She wants to pick them out 5 days in advance too. I mean, I was anal. Like I would at least sometimes pick them out the night before. I never was like this crazy. She put way too much pressure on him. I think she just was like in the popular crowd or wanted to be in the popular crowd. You know what I mean? He says, you didn't understand that for 3 years. He's basically like, our whole relationship, you didn't understand it. That's basically what he's saying right here. Okay, so she says, no, I completely understand that the light hurts your eyes. Nothing is confusing about that. And this is one of the most important things. This is what helps me keep my day on track. No, I'm not getting no effing sleep. I have a full day tomorrow. Now, like, nah. Now I'm stressed off my effing ass and I'm probably going to smoke to calm down. I don't even want to smoke, but I'm about to flip the F out. And he says, cool. She said, okay, bye. Go the F to bed then. He says, now I didn't even watch the football game and I'm mad. She says, I'm sorry, my mental health makes you mad. You're the first person who I ask for help, but I just won't ask anymore. Dom says, as much as I love you, my mental health comes first because I try every day. She said, do not do this over this. He said, so hard to not freak out. And if you're going to push me, and she says, do not threaten me with this. He says, my mental health comes first. I'm not just going to let you stress me out and make me mad. When that's the first thing I deal with every day. Mackenzie says, Dom, me asking you for help shouldn't stress you out or make you mad. He says, yes, I know. He said, that's why it's a problem. My mental health comes first. But your outfits isn't excusable. Yeah, if you asked me to help you with something important, let's say drive you to school. Mackenzie says, this is important. He says, I do that shit. She said, for me. He said, but some outfit, she says, if you really do this over this, he said, not as important. So point is, the problem is like a problem 1 out of 10. I don't know what that means. Oh, okay. So he's saying like the problem is like a 1 out of 10. And he says, I'm not going to let you stress me out, waste my time, make me angry. She said, no, it's not. He says, over 1 out of 10 problems, you feel me? That's the first thing when you do when you get up. She said, what is? He said, you go to the shower, you shower, go to the bathroom, get dressed, eat. Those are the things every human should be able to do on their own. So figure that out first. Then the rest of whatever you got to do. She said, how do I love you so much even though you talk to me like that? He said, because we're made for each other, babe. She said, I hurt so bad knowing no one will understand how I feel. Okay. That comment right there, like saying like, oh, no one will understand how I feel. What's going on here? Is she now having like the episodes or what the F is going on here? Ash is like, stop. Now she's being like, you know how Dom was always like, oh, so dark and like depressed. I feel like she's acting like this now. What was her mother like if this is how she is? I strongly believe we're a product of our environment. I do. Definitely as children as well. And what happens to us in our childhood and or whatever in our childhood is not our fault nor our problem. Now we're going off of a deep end on like parenting and life, etc. But like children are children. And I just feel like, why was I telling you guys about this? I just feel like Mackenzie seems like she's a little like Maybe something is going on here that's not about the clothes. Or maybe it is about the clothes and she's just petty and annoying. Probably. Most likely. Where's her crown? Mine? Her dad stays in the basement. Her dad stays in the basement smoking the weed. Another flip up. Yes, Dom, I wish he had stayed this strong and put his health first. I know, Mallory. I know. Her dad has zero say. You guys don't want to know what I think about her dad. Okay, she says, I hurt so bad knowing no one will understand how I feel. She says, no one ever does or ever will, even doctors. He says, and how do you expect anyone else to help? You have to help yourself first. If I'm sitting there angry AF, anything anyone says to me doesn't help me or usually makes me more angry. We've been texting an hour now, said Dom. It's not helping. Like literally, you're just going backwards and I'm missing the game. Pick some pants, then shirt, then shoes, then jacket, and you're done. Easy as that. She says, I don't even want to move. I've just been laying on the floor staring into my wall. She says, I don't even want to go to school tomorrow. Like, I don't even have the motivation. I can't even do my schoolwork or focus. And my math and English teacher make me feel so dumb. Okay, this is where I was ranting off earlier. I feel like, does she have mental health issues? And they're starting to come out in these text messages. Like, we know she does, but I feel like her saying that she has a problem and that no one's going to know how she feels. And like, this seems like a mental health issue. So, again, we both know they were both struggling, and that's like not a funny thing. Like, I'm very serious about mental health, but I also feel like it's really weird how we're seeing her act like this. Drugs, says Alicia. Drugs and mental health. I know, but Kenzie's only smoking. Dom's the one that pops the pills and does the shrooms and stuff. Like, he's the one who has a substance abuse issue. I think she's just a stoner. And like, does that contribute to her maybe being depressed? Possibly. I guess, yeah, it could. There's an underline for sure. It seems more than that. Okay, I'm glad you guys are getting my vibe. This doesn't just seem like she's freaking out about her clothes. Sometimes when people go off into rants like this and take really small things personal, it's either like they're really immature and petty and we don't want to hear from them, or like there's something underlying going on. And I just go back to like their home life. You know, we got to remember these are texts between them. I think both of their parents failed. I do. I'm not going to deny it and lie. I think the Russo parents and the Shirilla parents both failed here. Am I God? Am I the one to judge everyone on earth? Whatever high power you believe in? No. But clearly we can see like throughout these texts, the parents don't come into play here, getting the mental help, etc. And look at where they ended up. We're in 2021 here. We're back in the day, but like, look at what happened. She ended up killing 2 people. Like, and who even knows? We don't even really know what happened. Like, these text messages make me think they were actually fighting in the car. Like, I really think that. I just think they were both fighting. Something was going on in that car or before that car. Or drive. That's what I meant. Not before. Like, I don't I don't think Mackenzie was gonna want to pick prison or jail life over her being able to smoke weed every day. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, are you catching my vibe? Like, I don't think she tried to unalive herself. Well, I didn't. But now that I'm reading these text messages, I'm like, wait, maybe they did. They were both in a really dark spot, it seems like. Maybe they did try to unalive themselves. I don't know. What do you think? Like, the more we get through these text messages, the more we get a clearer picture of what it was like. Because could you imagine if we just read the 2022 text messages? Like, we would only be getting that like background of that year. But like you and I both know now, going back into 2020, like this has been an ongoing thing. Like this has been a thing. Like this is a case, like this evidence package of text messages is like the perfect example of like what should go in the textbook for psychology books, like toxic relationships, bad parenting, emotional situations, mental health. Like you get all of it in this text of threads, and like where people failed and where they seem to lose control. No pun intended, if you know what I mean. Not with his friend in the car. Celie says, I think she has border personal BPD. She has a personality disorder. I don't know. Like I don't know if it's BPD or something else. Like another mental health. So much bouncing around. BPD, I could see that. I don't know that people with BPD always think of like unaliving themselves. I know it is a thing, but I feel like there's something else. You get a better understanding. I think she was spoiled. Yeah, Cree. She needs her own page in the DSM-5. They were both on the brink and something pushed her over. I absolutely think they were fighting, says Debbie. Hello, Debbie, my love. So I think every parent here failed a child, and now two of them are gone and one's in prison. So it's all very crazy. Shouldn't the parents have been held accountable then? I'm sorry. It's like those, the pew pew cases that go on around the country, and like how they want to charge the parents for allowing them to have pew pews. And, it's like, I kind of feel like it's the same situation. Like, why didn't the parents get charged for like neglect or failure to provide mental health services or like mental well being or lack of, I don't know, emotional effing support? Oh my gosh, Mandy says BPD, bitchy personality disorder. Not me having bitchy personality disorder. I love that. I love that. Sunshine says exactly, Molly. Miss Russo would have got to get an extreme, or on Kenzie. Dom would have to go along. No, we're not making fun of BPD. Thank you, Mandy, for bringing that up. No, she meant that was a funny joke on Mandy's taco, but like, no, we're serious about mental health, and you guys should know that already by being a family here. That has been my utmost thing that I've said, and if you watch my first live, I probably said it. So go back and watch Ashley Bocanegra case. That's actually a really good case you should watch on my playlist too, by the way. Changing the subject. She got beat up. She got bullied. She was seeing someone else's man. They beat her up. She died. Go watch it. It's my first case, not the best, but well, my coverage is good. But that was like my first case that I actually deep dove. But anyways, I feel like Natalie needs to be in jail, not Pumpkin. Thank you. I kind of agree with this, Alicia. Yeah, I think Natalie Shirilla. Illegally Blonde says, I believe Natalie should be charged for providing the car because Mackenzie did videos smoking and driving. Okay, let's continue. She says, and my mat, because she's like saying that she feels dumb in school, like this is a or maybe a learning disability. She says, I don't even want to go to school. Like she gets very much in that depressed, negative vibe. He says, you have two choices every day. She said, especially math. She finds every way to just make me look like an R word. He says, keep dreaming on things you want or get up and go get them. That's what Dom said. And school is R word, RETARDED. Has at least 1/3 of kids believing they dumb. You're not failing. The system is failing you, said Dom. Mackenzie said, yes, I am. Oh, like I try to ask my English teacher for help and she doesn't even help. She acts like she doesn't understand what I'm asking. I have no friends, said Mackenzie. Well, maybe you would have friends if you weren't being such a mean bully all the time. So Dom says, and if she makes you feel dumb, tell her she's a CUNT and go to the principal. Wow. He says, and record it. Show the principal exactly what happens. Mackenzie said, well, friends that I can talk to, the girls that I trust or that have any interest in me, I have a video of my math teacher dogging me in front of the whole class. Dom says, you have to let go of old friends and memories to evolve into new friends and memories. Okay, we'll show that to the principal. Makeachange.org to get her fired. Put it on TikTok. There's things you can do and you're not doing. Mackenzie says, I just don't have the motivation. I honestly just feel worthless. I know I'm not. He says, you don't have the motivation because you smoke so much weed you can't think. I told you this. Get up, smoke weed at 7 a.m. This is what happens. Shut up, Dom. You're the one who smokes all day, every day. This is the shit I can't stand when he gets up there preaching like he ain't doing anything wrong. Oh my gosh. That will sure help. She'll be fired next week. T. She talks about mouth a lot. She doesn't like math. But Dom isn't around, is he? Maybe he would have moved past it if the psycho didn't end his life. Okay, Sarah, that's fair. Sarah G. Just Pepper says Dom had bipolar disorder and he would feel suicidal at times, but he was not homicidal. Kenzie, on the other hand, was homicidal, not suicidal. Very good point. Ash says, shows the problems in our school right now. Absolutely. Jess says, we think twice about everything, and Dom smokes and drink and drove, so you can't say one did shit without the other. She didn't like to drive that, but Dom had no problem selling rugs and partying. Okay, so Jess says it takes two to tango. She only went to school to bully. That's also true from what we've heard. Bet says, I'm serious about mental health. Me too. Did the judge sit and read all these? Why do I feel like she didn't? I don't feel like she did. And that's why I feel like they appealed. They didn't get a chance to bring in everything that they wanted to bring in. He wants her to go away. If she stops smoking, maybe she will leave him alone. He says, get up at 7, smoke weed, get up and smoke weed at 7 a.m. And this is what happens. She says, and I don't have a hard time picking out after every week. It only happens sometimes. He said, I told you this. I told you. I've been through it. You're feeling worthless because that's how you're treating yourself. Like coming to me. It's been an hour of texting. ... She says, I don't mind texting for an hour. He says, I'm mad. Mad. She says, I'm sorry. My mental health is not doing good right now. This, out of all the things, I know there's a lot, but this is, I think if this was brought into court, this might have played a factor with the jury, because this to me is she was struggling too. No. Don't get your panties in a bunch. I'm not saying that she had mental health problems and this is why she unalived to people. No. I think they're two different things, at least for me personally. I think she was having mental issues. Could that have led to her crashing the car and killing both of them? Sure. But I also think there was other things. But I do believe they were both struggling. I don't think it was just one or Dom or the other. No, you're fine. See now that Dom wasn't held, he would break up and she would go on her way and he would get obsessive with her. If you're going to look at one view, look at all of them. I'm just saying, oh, okay. I see what you're saying. He would break up and she would go her way and he would get obsessive with her. Huh. Okay. I see. Miss Ward says Dom's mom had connections in the court system as well. That's also true. She loved the image of cute boyfriend with never-ending rugs. She was at war with herself. Kaysen says she took 2 people's lives. She still says she's not an aliver. That their mental health was suffering and then selling rugs and then doing is okay. He sold them to minors and then partied with them. They both had mental health issues for you. I love your channel. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jess. No, I agree with you. Her struggles go against defensive accident. Oh. Seeley says they have armchair detectives. We are armchair psychiatrists. Facts. Okay, let's see. She says, I'm sorry, my mental health is not doing good right now. She said, I've had a rough couple days. She said, give me a break. He said, all these problems right in your reach. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to be a DICK and you're going to listen. Because I sugarcoat everything. So, look, here's what you're going to do. You're going to stop smoking weed right now. You ain't smoking tonight. You smoked enough today. You ain't smoking tomorrow till at least 3. Then right now, you're going to get up and go pick out an outfit or at least throw something together. Then you're going to get ready and go to bed. She said, I need to shower or at least wash my hair. He says, shower right now or wake up and shower. She says, but I've been sitting on my closet floor, babe. I really don't think I'm going to be able to pick an outfit. I wake up at 6:20. I don't have time in the morning. I can do it now. He says, shower right now, get up and shower, go grab a glass of water. You're probably dehydrated, and then get in the shower. Don't think about shit. That's your problem. That's anxiety. Something you're about to do, you think then it's just like this, probably. I have to sneeze. Sorry, I didn't want to sneeze in your face. Can we armchair dispense to stop it? He says something you're about to do, then just like this, probably. And then he does a bunch of typos. He says ... exclamation. He's like mistyping. He says, but look, if you just do instead of think, then it just goes like this. He sends IDUDHD question mark. Outfit. Front, sit in the mirror an hour. Put together, boom, you good, then leave. He's not making sense in these texts. She says, I'm about to wash my hair, babe. And I don't know. You are helping me calm down, though. A lot. He said the N-word. She puts a little emoji. She says, are you going to bed? She says, keep texting me. Okay, or don't. She says, are you for real? He says, go wash your hair. She says, I'm out. He said, okay, now pick outfit. She says, I have laundry to do. I really want to smoke. He said, what you should do is not smoke all day till you have all your shit done. Smoke, then sleep like a baby. She says, well, I'm still waiting on my laundry and my stomach hurts really bad. I have nothing to do. He says, if your stomach hurts, then you shouldn't smoke. She said, I feel like it usually helps. He said, this is what you've been waiting for. I'm telling you, this is your time. She said, but I may be wrong. He said, to go figure yourself out. You are the one. Yeah, it probably does a little. I think that's what Chris said. She said, it's so weird. He said, but you have to keep smoking more and more. She said, my stomach makes no sense. She said, I know. I kind of get how it works. It hurts. You smoke. Then it feels better. Then it hurts worse. It's a cycle. She said, I might like vape to make not smoking easier. And yeah, that's exactly it. He says, nah, don't vape, babe. Let me research it tomorrow. Hypermesis, probably just too much THC. She says, babe, I need something to like inhale. He says, maybe you can use like CBD vape juice or CBD dabs. She says, I don't know. Last time I got a CBD cart, it was gross AF, but I'm willing to try other shit. He said, that's because you got it from a bad source. She says, true. He says, we'll find you good stuff. He says, or we can just literally make it. She said, it's going to suck seeing you smoke, and I can't. He says, you can make all that shit easy. Just get CBD flower, then isolate it, then infuse it with whatever you're doing. She says, I don't know. This all just sucks. I just want to get high. He says, you can get high, just not every single 3 hours. Chris had hypermesis. He doesn't have it anymore. It will go away. She says, I've had it since January 2020. What does that mean? Okay, here we go. You ready? Are you taking notes for the exam? Because if you're not, you're going to get blocked. It says hyperemesis gravidarum is a severe form of nausea and vomiting that occurs during pregnancy. What? Oh, cannabinoid hyperemesis? Oh, okay. So not during pregnancy? Is there really an exam? Robert, yeah. The drugs have her dependent on him and unable to make decisions and no motivation. It's a disorder from smoking too much weed. Well, Google said it happens when you're pregnant. Weird, says Ash. I don't think it just happens when you're pregnant, though. But it does. It says it's a pregnancy. Yeah. I think he put down the wrong diagnosis. I don't think that's what he meant. Because this is just specifically for pregnancy. I got it. Pregnancy related. So what the hell does he mean his brother got it? Oh, the cannabinoid one is different. All right, let me look it up. We're learning things here together. Okay. Cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. CHS. You ready? You taking notes? Is a rare condition characterized by severe persistent vomiting and abdominal pain in individuals who regularly use marijuana. Got it. Okay. It's from smoking. Okay. It's like bad morning sickness. All right. Can you pop a Zofran? Will that help? Damn. Stomach ache from smoking too much? That's crazy. It's not even that rare anymore, says Miss BS. I'd stop smoking, but what do I know? And she's 17. Zofran is life. I do love me some Zofran. Yeah, because I wonder if maybe though because remember like her people said she had an eating disorder. I don't know if that's like actual factual. I like that. If that's true, maybe that also plays a role in it, you know? Okay, let's continue. Interesting. So she says, I've had it since January 2020 without even knowing. Like, who knows how bad it is, but I'm praying to God it goes away soon. He said, yours isn't even that bad. She says, to me it is. It straight sucks. He says, I can't be on my phone any longer. I love you, babe. She says, I love you. He says, my W's are closed. LOL. Oh, he meant my eyes are closed. She said, good typing for closed eyes. LOL. He said, he's doing typos. She says, LOL. That was at 11:13. Okay, then she says, I'm so mad right now. How long was it in between those text messages? Like 11 minutes. He says, what's up? She says, so I thought my black juicy tracksuit was in the wash, but it was literally not. And I waited 2 hours for all my laundry to be done. And now my mom has to stay up late and finish the laundry. He said, that's terrible. She said, wow. Question mark, question mark. Did you hang up on me? Okay. So wait, let's go back. So she says, okay, the part about her mom and the laundry, that was at 11:20 p.m. Then he says in the morning, that's terrible. She says, wow, question mark, question mark. Did you just hang up on me? She says, you know what? I don't even care. You probably did. Dom says, it must have been by accident. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get on the toilet. She said, like I just said, you're the only one helping me and you hung up. Well, babe, how was I supposed to know that you usually just hung up on me? But I have to go back to class. He says, okay, go back and take a break. She said, I'm so stressed. He said, how is school going? Then he starts playing cup pong with her. Then he says, you got to just know all this shit is temporary. Who cares if they move your seat or anything like that happens? It's setting you up for something better. Then she plays cup pong back. She says, it's better now, but I'm getting so frustrated. She says, I'm for real annoyed right now. Then he plays cup pong. They're playing cup pong back and forth, back and forth. She says, I can only be on my phone in the bathroom. She thinks she has my phone locked up. He's playing more cup pong. He says, LOL. He says, you barely have any school left anyway. She said, I'm in the bathroom right now because I'm so frustrated. He keeps playing cup pong. He said, Kat somehow pissed on my laundry. I'm honestly done. Like, I leave my door closed all day. I don't know how they managed to piss on that. I just threw all their bowls with food in the sink and took the beds down. I'll probably piss on those. She says, wait, what happened? How the F did they even get in your room? Oh my effing God. That's so annoying. He says, I don't know. It smells like piss in here. She says, what laundry? Like the one that was freshly out or the old ones? Oh, hell nah. That shit's gross. I'm sorry, babe. He says, I just told my mom, like, nah, I'm done. To be honest, if they don't do anything else, I'll have no choice but to dispose of them. He's talking about disposing of the rescues. What the hell does that even mean? I might just go get him euthanized or something. At least Jim. I'm sorry. I can't. Like, I can't. I don't like people like this. Clearly, I have a problem. Now I'm the one who's mad. Silly says a Mary J nowadays is not like it was 20 years ago. What's Zofran? It's for nausea. They smoke too much. Yeah, they're talking about the kittens, ticka ticka. That's why I'm over here pissed off. Anyways, okay, so he says I might just go get him euthanized. There's a place in Strongsville, I think. She says, WTF, why did you just stop talking? He said, I was distracted. She said, you could have just told me instead of just not talking for 5 minutes, or at least hung up or said, I'll call you back in a sec. He didn't respond. And she says, I was just sitting on the phone waiting. He says, okay, I didn't know it was such a big deal. She says, I'm mad I can't smoke. He says, you smoke after school. You get home at 2:30. Hit me up. We can smoke. You also said you're going to get insanely high too. She said, yay. Check signal. She says, hi, babe, at 101. He says, hi. She says, my teacher put me far AF in the back. She knows I'm dumb and need help. Dom says, that's just something you got to deal with. I don't know what to tell you. She says, also, I'm coming over after school. I'm really excited to come. He said, yeah, when? She said, 2:30, 2:26. He said, probably. She said, yay, I'm so excited to smoke. I want to see my babe. Okay, so that was at 1:26. Then she says, I'm sad. He says, why? Because I wish I didn't have the cannabinoid thing and the egg thing. He says, I don't know, all setting you up for something else. She said, see you soon. I'm about to come over. He says, bet. What the hell does she mean about the egg thing? She says, I wish I didn't have the cannabinoid thing, which is hyper whatever from smoking too much. Then she says, and the egg thing. What does that mean? Like a feminine thing? Like ovulation or something? Now she's just making excuses, says Alicia. I know, Mandy. She says, yay, I'm so excited to go smoke. And then she's like, I'm mad. Ovarian cyst. I can't deal with the animal stuff. Me either, Mallory. I don't know if it's, I don't know if she means like maybe like I don't even know. She's 16, 17 here. What the hell is she even doing? Hypochondriac. I am. So is Mackenzie. He says, bet. To be honest, I smoked a wood. I thought I'd still be lit, but it's the end now. She says, dot, dot, dot. He says, my bad. She said, good night, babes. She said, I dropped my white shirt in your house somewhere. I dropped my white shirt in your house somewhere, she said. No, I think she meant like she has an issue, like a health issue or something. He said, babe, no. She says, what do you mean, babe, no? It's not in your house? I'm so mad again. He said, no. I just said no because you dropped it. She said, did you find it, babes? He says, yes, it was on my floor. She said, okay, good. And babe, I'm really struggling. I keep sweating my ass off and I can't even because I start getting irritated. What should I do? He says, you're sweating your ass off and what? The sweating is because of the weed, to be honest. That's what happened when I was in jail. She said, I couldn't do shit today. I was too stressed out. I'm still sweating my ass off. He says, are you at school? She says, yeah, I'm about to come home. He says, are you going to school after? She says, I have to do school at home today because of testing. He said, oh, okay, we'll go home and do Wim Hof. Also, check Snap real quick. And she says, you're for real sexy, babe. Oh, God. He sent her a snap of himself. He says, no, you. She says, what are you doing today? I want to hang. He says, right now, nothing. Get a new phone. I got to run somewhere at 12. Come over, babe. She says, babe, I have to do school at home. I can come over at like 2:26. So you're not going to answer? He says, no, I'm reading. My foot is really numb. She said, why is it numb? He says, I don't know. She says, so are we hanging today or not? He says, I might have diabetes. What the? She says, why? OMG. He says, because they get numb. She says, WTF. I don't think you do. He says, and I have blurred vision. She said, you eat healthy for that. He said, those are signs of diabetes. And it says being hungry after eating. I have all of those. She says, holy F. He says, I don't know. Why is it numb then? She says, my dad has mild diabetes. My grandpa also had it. He says, why does it get less numb and more numb? I'm sorry, you guys. Diabetes is a serious health condition. So sorry if you have it. But like also, I'm sorry. Like what? Why is he like diagnosing himself? I literally cannot. Also, symptoms of being high. Stop. Wait, jail. That's what he said, you guys. He said jail. Wait, I'm over here worried about the diabetes. Okay, let's go back. Um, don't worry, you guys. I am not diabetic. After I download page number. Wait, yeah, let's go back. Back that ass up. Okay, let's back up. He said he went to jail. I know you guys caught that too. I was just stuck on the diabetes. Okay, wait. He doesn't have diabetes. He's just high. Wait, where was the jail thing? Was that like that far back? It was like when she was sweating, right? Yeah. Oh, shoot. I have to go all the way back. She says, I'm sweating my ass off. He says, are you at school? Are you going to school after? Okay, so that was like probably right around then. The sweating is because of the weed. That's what happened when I was in jail. Dom was in jail. I knew he had been pulled over and been ticketed, but I never knew that he actually did time. Is this like for real? Wait, what did he go to jail for? Rugs? This is something I'm going to have to look into tonight. Did you guys know that? Or did I know that and maybe I just forgot? What did he go to jail for? It had to have been rugs. Okay, that is wild. Gel or juvie? No, I didn't. Okay, so I'm gonna have to deep dive this tonight. Told y'all, said Rebecca. She had a pic of him in jail on the phone. Gel or juvie? Whoa. Have you guys heard that on any other channels? I haven't heard that on any other channels either. Well, not that I watch a lot of other Mackenzie channels, but like usually I'll see something like that. I've been a juvie before I was don't even get me started. You guys will have to hear about my past on a Melly After Dark. Never heard it, Melly. Huh. Must have been juvie. Let me look something up real quick. That's interesting. I want to know what he was in jail for or whatever. It doesn't say anything about him being in jail. It just says Mackenzie. So I'll have to do some digging on that. He was just held overnight. Didn't the brother accuse him of battery? Yeah, I think it was a familial thing. Christine talks about it in her police interview. She does? I have that on my playlist. I don't remember that. Or briefly in jail. Okay. Yeah, something with Topher. Must have been domestic violence. That's when Christine moved him in next door. Oh, see, some of you guys knew. Maybe the mom helped to expunge it. Yeah, because remember, he hates his brother, Toph. Okay. He got into a big fight with Toph, but cops knew about the rugs. Okay, we have to look into that. That's wild. Interesting. And he was always older. So he probably would have been a minor. So yeah, it must have been something like overnight or juvie. It was probably jail. And they just probably took him to like try to rectify the situation if it was a DV thing. You know, they usually have to like, you know how in the Gabby Petito case they failed to separate them appropriately or whatever, you know, I feel like maybe they took him because he was the one being violent and to like separate them. Okay, I'll look into it tonight and then on tomorrow's live, we'll see what I find. She says, my dad has diabetes. My grandpa also had it. He says, and why does it get less numb and more numb? She says, if you catch it soon enough, you can fix it. Like, go to the doctor. You're really worrying me. I'm for real stressed. He says, or it's nerve damage or lack of blood. She said, can you just please go to the doctor and tell him your concerns? She says, please. I'm shaking. He sends a bunch of him Googling these diseases. He says, it's probably just this. She said, that's for real scary. Can you get rid of it? I don't think you have that. She says, babe, I'm about to freak the F out. I can't do this. I need to smoke or hit something. The CBD vape is making my chest feel weird. It's making it sting. Dom says, I don't know. I'm not going to suggest anything anymore. I don't want you to get mad at me. She said, like, Dom, I'm not going to get mad. He says, you just got mad. She said, okay, cool. He said, smoke CBD, bud. I have a headache now. Maybe it is diabetes. She says, you probably have a headache because of the stress. And I think smoking bud is the issue. That's why I'm trying to just stick to liquids and shit. I'm honestly tempted to just start vaping, but I don't know. She says, I just spent $44 on a CBD vape that I'm probably never ever going to use again because it's making my chest feel effing weird. He says, is it made with PG or VG or PE? He says, it's probably not bad for you, probably just irritating a little bit. She said, look at Snap. You were literally the one who told me to go throw it at them. Wait, what? To go throw it at them? Question mark, question mark. He says, I didn't mean urgently. She said, you scared me. He said, I didn't mean to be mean to your mom about it. So they must have talked on the phone. She says, Dom, you made it seem like I was going to have health issues over this. Like, I'm so done with people not being on my side with things. He says, go smoke bud or CBD. Stop stressing me out before I start breaking shit. This is like a good example of she puts him over the edge. You know, like she's going through something right now, like some mental health episode or whatever the hell, or fit. And she's like rubbing off on him. And now he's like, I'm going to start breaking shit. Like he's losing his marbles. Same, Cree. They find every way to keep doing wrongs. Definitely addiction. See, he sets the tone with the I'm a break shit. That's what I'm saying. He says, before I start breaking shit, he says, I told you your options. That didn't include throwing vapes at the worker. He says, you can't do that. Also, she says, I'm just not going to have her go in and talk to them about it. I try to get a refund because the product has effing formaldehyde in it. Like, how does a device have that? She says, yeah. Dom says, yeah, that stuff is toxic AF. She says, or don't call back. All you could have said was, I'm with B. I don't know why you made it something. If you're on D&D, we will actually have issues. Like, I'm so serious right now. And he says, what? She says, why the F did you go on D&D? Like, I'm not feeling these old habits. Like the fact that you did that when you know how it makes me feel, acting like an effing child. You really want me to go there? I can dead ass show up to your house in 8 seconds. Should have known you wouldn't say love you. He says, what's up? You said all of that on the phone. She emphasizes her message. She said, look at the times. He says, you didn't say it either. I love you, babe. She says, I love you too, babe. He says, I'll talk to you later. She sends an emoji. He says, why that? She says, I'm sad. Okay, leave me on red. Okay. He says, I didn't know you texted me. I must have opened it by accident. She says, Are we still hanging at 7? He says, yeah, in a sec. They're about to leave. She says, okay, good. He says, how is today, babe? Did you end up smoking last night? Okay, so then this goes into the 27th, the next morning. He says, did you end up smoking last night? She says, morning, babe. I didn't smoke last night. I just went to sleep and really sweaty. He says, so is today better or worse? She says, better. And then she says, good night, babe. You yelled at me when I left. So then they ended up hanging out because she texted him at 4:18 p.m. Then she says, good night, babe. You yelled at me when I left. And this is at 10:50. She says, so I didn't get to hug you. I love you, babes. He says, I don't remember. She says, I figured. You were like, get the F off of me. Don't touch me. I tried to give you a hug when I was leaving. He says, he sends an emoji. And then the next morning at 11:21, he says, how you feel today, babe? She says, literally WTF. Literally WTF. That's all I can even think to say. I just told you your opinion means the most to me and you act like that. Okay, don't reply. Cool. He says, babe, I just said it's a lot. I was making a joke. I didn't say it looked bad and you just started being mean. So I didn't say anything else. So they were talking on the phone or FaceTiming. She said, how was that a joke? He says, okay. She said, and I wasn't mean, babe. I told you your opinion means the most to me and should I take it off? And you said, I don't know. Like, you could have been like, you look so pretty, babe, or called me back when I hung up. He said, no, you said more than that. She says, what did I say? Dom said, I already said you didn't look bad in it, but okay, Kenzie. She says, how come you can't see it on the phone? Then how come you can only text it? Like, this is why I don't wear exactly what I want, because people are just going to make fun of me. Oh, so that's where her issue with the outfit stems from. She said, I don't know, this is annoying. He says, people can only do that if you let them. She said, I know I look effing good, so I don't care. You're the only person who can make me feel ugly. She says, Did you turn red off? Never mind. He says, see, that's how you should feel. You should wear boys' clothes and look good. As long as you don't care, no one else will. LeBron or Michael Jordan didn't care when they missed the game winning shot, making everyone's opinion not matter. Mackenzie says, well, when you compliment me, I feel really confident. Dom says, well, when they make it, they don't care what people say either. Mackenzie says, and when you say stuff like that, it makes me feel less confident. Dom says, true boss knows their worth. Okay, well, I'm going to compliment you all the time, but okay. She says, that's not what I'm saying, Dom. I'm saying that when I showed you my eyeliner, I was really confident. And when you told me you don't know if it's too much, it made me feel less confident. He said, okay, well, you looked good in it. It was a lot, not too much. She said, I'm sorry, babe. I'm just really sensitive and I have no patience. I haven't smoked. Please just cut me some slack. I'm sorry. He said, I have zero patience every day. That's why I Wim Hof. Okay. And then he said, stop throwing paper at the fire. She said, I'm at school now. You could have said sorry too, by the way. He said, sorry. She said, F my English teacher. She's an effing B. He said, F her. Mackenzie says, like, I ask for a pencil. She never has one. Always says, it's not my classroom. Like, bitch, you've been teaching in this room for almost a year. How the F does she still have no pencils for her students? And she also doesn't have a sharpener. And when I ask, she didn't even help me find one. I'm about to snitch on her. Dom doesn't reply and she sends a bunch of question marks. Then Dom says, snitch on her. She says, I'm about to after this class. Why do teachers do this to me, babe? Dom says, because they're jealous of how cute you are. They're afraid of you. Mackenzie says, is Toph supposed to be in the house? Dom says, probably. Mackenzie says, okay, just wondering because I know you got stuff on the table. Dom says, is anyone's car there? She says, no, just yours and the Jag. That's all I can see at least. He says, I don't know. Text my mom and ask her. Mackenzie says, you text her. Dom says, okay. Then at 10:32, she says, text me when you go to bed. He says, okay, babe. She says, I love you. Then she says, why you leave the I love you part on red? Never mind. He says, I didn't, babe. I love you. She said, it said you did, babe. I miss you already. He said, we will. What are you doing now, babe? She said, I fell asleep, babe. He said, me too. This is the next morning. She said, good morning, babes. She sends an emoji face. She says, I'm on the way to Polaris. She says, what are you doing, babe? He says, just chilling. Whoops, my bad. She said, why? He said, you want me to call back? She says, I hate school. He said, F school. She said, right? Babe, what's the move? He said, you can come if you want. Blair's here, and then Connor's pulling up, and Jared might come in a little. She said, sideways face. I don't really want to hang with all the guys. I'm probably just going to end up sitting there or something, but I have nothing to do, so I might come because I want to see you. He said, let me see when Jared's coming and just come for a little bit. She said, that's what I was thinking. Right after school? He says, maybe. Hold up. She says, let me know. Then she says, I'm eating. I still haven't ate yet. He says, what are you eating? She says, I don't know. I'm so stressed right now. She said, Shinto, rice, and broccoli. He said, nice. She said, that's all. LOL. He said, broccoli, nice. She said, is your mom making lobster? He said, I think so, for real. She said, I just took them. He said, it's going to be fun, babe. Oh, wait. He said, I think so, for real. That was on 129 at 6:17 p.m. At 7:22, she says, I just took them. Okay. What did she just take? The conversations. Sorry, I was reading. I missed what you guys said. Gee, I brought my own pencils. I was the mechanical pencil queen, and I would say I'm still am, and I'm like the cool pen queen, if anybody cared. Toph said Dom was trying to get him, but Christine said it's all in his head. I'm on the treadmill. What are you guys doing? Damn, snitching I think is valid. Okay. Pencilgate, stop it. That's funny. Okay, so she says, I just took them. He says, gonna be fun, babe. You a mushroom fanatic. She just popped some mushrooms in her mouth. In high school, we had to provide our own crap. Yeah, I'm fancy. I'm a bougie bee when it comes to that. What's your choice of pen? I have a lot, but I have to say this: the big Gelosity. I know you guys are like so impressed that I'm showing you what I'm actually talking about. Maybe when we do a Melly After Dark, I'll show you guys my pen collection. Yeah, she did pot and shroomies. He said that to her. Anyways, let's get back to it. He says, you're a mushroom fanatic. She says, I'm really anxious, but hyped. He said, yeah, that's how it goes. She said, oop, I love you. He says, love you too, babe. She sends an emoji. Then she sends a bunch of TikToks. She says, that was on 129. So she did shrooms. Then it hops to the next day. She says, I love when no one cares. Makes me feel great. Dom says, question mark. He says, if I didn't care, I wouldn't be doing this right now. She sends an emoji and he says, what? She sends a Valentine's Day thing. Okay. That was at 12:33 p.m. like in the afternoon. She ends up going over there. She says, should I just leave? I'm really not trying to get ignored all day. He says, if you want, let me finish my Wim Hof. She says, how many times do I got to tell you? I hate when you say, if you want, I want you to tell me to stay. He says, okay. She said, just okay. He says, let me know if Toph does anything. I'll come out and F him up. Mackenzie says, she emphasizes her just okay. He says, if you're patient enough, I want you to stay. Mackenzie said, he's fine. We're just talking about cannabinoids and okay. Dom says, I don't like him talking to you. I'm really mad. Whoa. He really had an issue with his brother who's schizophrenic. I think this plays a role into what's going on here. Like, I think that this relationship or whatever dynamic he has with his brother plays a factor into like with his mom and his parents. Holy shit. I love Amazon deliveries. I love school supplies. I love them. Oh, I used to have a Lisa Frank collection. Shrooms are pretty great and I'm really connected to normal adult living though. Yeah, I'm not against them, but I'm against them if you can't handle your life. Like Mackenzie, how old is his brother? I thought they were like around or closer, same age. We'll have to find out. He says, I'm really mad. She says, babe, I'm in the bathroom. He says, okay. She says, want to go skating? He says, not really. For real. He says, honestly, I'll probably just be pissed off all day. Just go home if you want. She sends an emoji, says, Haley and Megan want to go skating, babe. I want you to not be mad, babe. He says, go skating with them. She says, well, look when we leave. I'm going to come back over and we will watch 9 to 5. He says, probably not, but okay. She said, it will be fun. He says, probably not, but okay. She said, okay, babe, should I just leave right now? He said, sure. He says, I didn't even win Hof today. She says, okay, babe, I'll see you later. I love you. He says, okay, love you. Then she says, I'm sending you a hug and a kissy through the screen. He says, cool. She says, okay. And then he says, how is skating, babe? Okay, I'm actually kind of impressed that she was like, okay with leaving. She's the one who was like, I'm leaving. See you later. Like, she's kind of getting sick of his shit. They're kind of getting sick of each other, I think. He says, how is skating, babe? She says, I'm at 75. He says, oh, for real? How's that? She says, it's fun. We took pics. We're playing games. We're probably going to skate later. You can come if you want. He says, I thought you left me undelivered. I must have opened your message by accident. LMAO. Yeah, I got to wait for Ryan to stop by Trevor's. Also, Jared needs some stuff from me, so I got a link with him. Mackenzie says, and no, babes, I never leave you undelivered. He says, if I have all of that done, we can. She says, do you want to go roller skating, just me and you? They don't want to go. It opens 7 to 10. He says, maybe. She says, please, I really want to go. Babe, we should go at 7 or 7:30. Question mark, question mark. Okay, or don't answer. Like sus. Dom says, question mark. She says, of course, you find a million reasons why we can't go. I actually thought you would want to go. Should have known. He says, are you good? She says, no, I'm annoyed AF right now. I thought we would go and have fun, but whatever. He says, we can go tomorrow on another day. She sends an emoji. She says, we for real can't go tonight. He says, babe, I have to wait for someone. And my mom is literally making lobster. I'm not just going to not be home for lobster. I asked her to make it. Mackenzie says, I told you earlier I wanted to go roller skating. So why would you ask her to make it if you knew I wanted to do that? I told you before I left earlier today. And Dom says, I asked her to make it yesterday and I just got home and she has steaks out. Then Mackenzie says, then why didn't she make it yesterday? And Dom says, because she didn't have the lobster, babe. Literally, I was about to get Cane's real quick with Kyle, but the line was long AF. Then I got home and she's making lobster. And Dom says, we doesn't matter if we go tomorrow. She says, well, I'm in a cute outfit right now. Like, I hate getting my hopes up for nothing. Like, can you just eat fast? Then we can go. He says, I don't know when it will be done. Also, I'm waiting on someone. I mean, if you want to go after 8 p.m., sure. How late is it open? She says 10. Then we only have 2 hours. Like, this is so effing annoying. Why did you plan all this shit knowing I wanted to go roller skating? Or can this guy just come sooner? Like, I'm really not trying to just sit and do nothing. That's all we've been doing. And then she sends 10 question marks because he doesn't respond. She says, okay, cool. Leave me on red. Dom says, I asked him. My bad. I asked him to come sooner. Mackenzie says, just tell him to come now so we can go. Dom says, babe, WTF. Mackenzie says, whatever, Dom. He says, no, like, I don't know why you're being like this. You're getting so mad. She said, if you wanted to go skating with me, you would, because it's literally annoying. He says, babe, we can go tomorrow. She says, I told you at 11 a.m. I wanted to go skating before you made any plans. He says, I thought you were going with your friends. Then you went to scene 75 and I made some plans. Now I got shit to do. And she says, if you wanted to go, you would make that the time to go. I know I would. Question mark, question mark. So no. He says, babe, we can go after. And she says, after what? OMG. He says, after dinner and my homie stopped by. She says, is he coming now? He says, I don't know, babe. Why are you being like this? She says, because I actually want to do something that's cheap, close, and fun. And of course, there's a million reasons why we can't go tonight. I'm dropping Meg and Haley off right now. And he says, okay, so yeah, we can't just go tomorrow. Why does it have to be tonight? The only night anything is going on. Honestly, if you're mad, I don't care at this point. You're going to have to deal, because you shouldn't be mad that I don't want to go roller skating tonight. Like, this is like, you see how silly you sound? And she says, I don't know why you would make hella plans to have your mom cook a big dinner when you know I wanted to go and now I have to sit home alone. Thanks. He said, literally both things I could control, but okay, sit home alone. And she says, I wonder when you're going to stop being mean to me again. He says, you're acting irrational AF. I'm not being mean, but okay, talk to me tomorrow. I don't care. My night is ruined. And he says, I honestly hate Topher. I think I'm a really F him up. And Mackenzie said, so your night is ruined because I'm upset that you don't want to go roller skating with me. And he says, I'm really irritated right now because of everything, not you. And she says, oh. He says, irritated stress. Also, you're being mean about not going roller skating isn't helping. And she says, I'm not being mean. I'm upset you're not going. Like, I'm tempted to just go alone at this point. He says, okay, I don't know. I'm ready to freak out, so I'll just text you later. She says, F my life. This shit is so annoying. All I wanted to do was go roller skating. Of course, if it doesn't work out, like you could have just invited me over. No, not tell me a million reasons why we can't go. He says, look, I don't know how I am, but I'm working on it all. I'm seriously want to hurt Toph. He is really annoying me. He is just pacing back and forth. Mackenzie says, why is he even there? I thought he was going back to the hospital. And can't you just go to the other house? And you just ignored everything I said. And then she sends 10 question marks. And then she says, Dom, and 10 more question marks. He says, I'll talk to you later, babe. She said, so you're just going to ignore it again? Cool. He says, what? She says, like, I'm literally really annoyed with all of this. And he says, tell me right now. She says, I've been trying to chill with you for 2 days and you keep getting mad or not letting me come. He says, what was ignored? And she sends a screenshot. He says, well, first of all, and she says, okay, I'm done. He says, I didn't create the reasons, babe. That's what happened, babe. I didn't create them. If I had the choice, I wouldn't. So be done. I don't care. I said we can go later or tomorrow, but you're being hard AF on me. And she says, no, I am not. He says, when I'm really bipolar. Oh my goodness. They both lack empathy. This is wild. He's just as big as manipulator to get out of things. Roller blades. Oh my God, the blades. I know. Roller skate yourself, says Ash. Ash is ready to take her out. Russo has money, but medical bills are very expensive. But first we need to pick an outfit. Yeah, they do both lack empathy. Okay, he says, when I'm really bipolar, so bipolar, babe, anything sets me off. You can say certain words. See, I'm so mad now, but I'm almost about to cry. Okay, I have so much to say right now. Like, that's not, being bipolar doesn't mean you pick when you're angry. Like, Dom is just using that as an excuse. Like, yeah, I guess you feel yourself going into an episode, but sometimes not really. Like, what is he even doing? Always crying. Yeah. He says, but I'm almost about to cry. She says, don't cry, babe. He said, there's tears running down my face. This escalated really, like, now he's crying. Oh my God. I get shook. Not bipolar. He says, there's tears running down my face. He says, I'm not choosing this. I don't choose any of this. She said, can I just come over or no? He says, do you think I want to do this? She said, no. He says, like, you act like I want to do all of this shit. Sorry, I can't handle you, babe. She said, what? So you're telling me you can't handle me when you're the one causing me to be upset? He says, I don't care. Leave me alone. She says, you really want to go there? He says, what do you mean? She says, like, I don't know when the F you started acting like this again, but I'm so fed up. Like, I'll help you get through this shit, but if you're not going to help me, I don't know what the F to tell you because I'm not getting talked to like this ever. He says, look how you've been talking to me all day. Dom says, I'm done. She says, Dom, you literally got mad at me this morning for no reason. He says, I got too much on my plate. He said, I wasn't mad at you. I told you that. She said, yes, you were. He said, I was just mad AF. Mackenzie says, you didn't even give me a hug or kissy. He says, for no reason. Mackenzie says, and you said cool when I sent you a hug and kissy through text. And if you weren't mad at me, you would have taken the hug and kissy. He says, okay. She says, exactly. So you're really going to let me stay home alone tonight? He says, babe, I really can't take this. She says, babe, I'm trying to effing come be there for you. How do you not understand this? He says, babe, the light is literally out in my room too. She says, all I ever want to do is hang out with you. Dom says, I can't clear my mind with so many people. Mackenzie says, what does the light being out have to do with me coming over? Then come over there. She says, it's quiet. He says, I never have a clear peace of mind. Dom says, Kenzie, can we just stop texting for a little? She says, babe, I don't want to be alone tonight again. 5 exclamation marks. And Dom says, I can't take this. She says, Dom, why are you not letting me be there for you? Like, let me be there for you. You act like I'm not your girlfriend. You're supposed to come to me for help and tell me your problems. And Dom says, I would, but you've been mean all day. She says, OMG, can you think of anything else to say? I've been trying to hang all day and you keep giving me reason after reason. And he says, okay, you do the same shit. She says, I have been trying to be there for you. He said, I'm done texting right now. If you want to be there for me, stop freaking out on me because you're making it so much worse. She said, so you're not going to let me come over? And he said, I literally just sit there mad and wonder why I'm mad. What do you think this is doing? He says, not helping at all. She says, how the F do you think I feel, Dom? I was excited AF to go skating and you decided not to go. And now you're being weird and distant. Like, when are you going to start letting me be there for you? I love how I've been getting treated like shit for 2 days straight. Feels good. He said, I said maybe. Stop. I'm about to freak out. Stop right now. Stop. You're done. No. Stop. No. Stop texting. Please, 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 please just stop. Okay, thank you, he said. Wow. Mackenzie says, all you care about is what you're doing, not how I feel or what I'm doing. You make me feel useless. You for real just let me be alone and upset. He says, I ask you every day how stuff is going, what you're doing, school, friends, etc. Don't act like that. Just because I say I'm busy and I'm having an episode doesn't mean I don't care. Wow. I wonder if he had been to a doctor before and he did get diagnosed with being bipolar. And so he knows, like he knows when he's going into having episodes. I don't know. Wow. This is horrible. He says, just because I'm busy and having an episode doesn't mean I don't care. She says, you're making me feel like you don't care. Because if you told me you didn't want to be alone again, I would tell you to come over. He says, one sec, I'm getting a call. She said, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. He said, you can come in a little. He said, when I'm calmed down. She said, how long? I want to be over before 9. I'm honestly pissed off. This weekend is ruined. He says, no. Why are you still doing this? She says, no, what? He says, no, you're not coming over before 9. She said, what am I doing wrong? She says, I'm honestly so done with this shit. He says, yeah, my weekend's ruined too. She says, it's not good. It's good to know you're fine with me, with leaving me sad and feeling alone. I'll remember this night forever. He said, same, babe. You can't even leave me alone for a little bit so I can relax. I will remember. I'll be better soon. Not if you're impatient. And Mackenzie says, no, you're not even trying to make me feel better. He says, neither are you, in caps. He says, sorry. She says, actually, I tried to be there for you like 4 times. He says, be there for me. She said, in the last hour. He said, by not being there for me. She said, all you've done is be so mean. He says, I've told you this 1,000,000 times. She says, and you made me feel alone and useless. He says, no, you're mean. I don't care. Stop texting me. It's the same shit over and over. Like, I'm not doing this. This is not what I'm doing. This is not what you're doing. You're not putting me through all of this. I'll just distance myself further and further. She said, oh, that's how it's going to be? Okay, bet. Be like that. Push me away. It'll be the worst decision of your life. And if you blocked me, we're about to have mad issues. He says, I didn't, but yeah, stop being so hard on me. Let me chill. She says, honestly, if you wanted to be there for me, you would. If you wanted to to do fun stuff with me, you would. If you wanted me to feel loved and happy, you would be there for me. All the things I would do for you in a heartbeat that I have to beg for. I'm not being hard. I'm begging for your attention and time, and you're not giving it to me. He said, all I asked is you to leave me alone for a period of time, and you have it. We don't need to be having this discussion. She said, after I told you I feel alone. He said, you could be here right now. She said, OMG. He said, Kenzie, what you want me to do? Be mad AF when you get here? She says, you're the one telling me that I can't come. He says, I'm just trying to calm down. She says, well, you're probably just going to be short with me anyways. He says, and keep pushing it. Like it's not cool at all. She says, it's not cool what you're doing though. He says, it's like if I kept pushing your anxiety. She says, I'm hurt. You didn't come skating. That's why I'm upset. He says, I haven't even had dinner yet. Mackenzie says, that's why I've been upset. Dom says, honestly, I'm done. Leave me alone. We'll talk later. She said, see, WTF. He said, I'm about to shut off my phone. I can't take it. She said, wow. He said, I can't take it. I can't. I really can't. Right now, I can't take this. I'm trying to get my mind situated. So I can't. In a little, I can't take this. But I can't right now at all. I can't take it. I'm really, 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 it's really, really, really making me about to tweak. I did hella push-ups and pull-ups earlier because I was tweaking so hard. Now I'm about to tweak again. I don't give an F. And he puts a bunch of just like mistyped words. She says, I'm just going to bed. F my life. Like literally no one cares how I feel ever. No one is ever there. I'm so done feeling this way. I hope you're happy. He says, now I feel worse. She says, we could have had a sleepover. He said, when all I wanted was a little time. She said, but no. Dom says, so I can be there for you. I just want to chill so I can relax and be there, but now you're going to bed. Honestly, I don't give an F, said Dom. She says, I know you don't. If you wanted to see me, you would have invited me over. You keep saying you want to see me, then you keep saying you need more time. Dom says, I can't deal with it, okay? I'm just going to go cry. I got lobster tonight for no reason. I seriously feel shitty AF. I hope you're happy, babe. Sorry I couldn't roller skate. She says, I'm not happy. I told you that 30 times, and I also try to come over 30 times. He said, cool, me too. She said, I tried to be there for you. You never let me. You never tell me how you feel. He says, I want to effing scream. F you. F you. She says, that's how it's going to be. You think saying that is going to make you feel any better? When you say that to me, it doesn't hurt anymore because I know you're just trying to hurt me. He says, yeah, well, I'm freaking out and I'm screaming and I don't know what to do. Angelo came. I said, leave me alone. He said, okay, I got you. He gets it. He gets it. He gets it. She says, honestly, you're wildin' right now. I'm going to bed. I'm done letting you be mean to me when I just want to be by you. Like you're so effing mean. I still only want to be with you. What the F is wrong with me? He says, I'm going to hurt myself now. She says, I'm calling your mom. He says, good night, babe. I love you. Tell her it's your fault then too. She says, oh, hell no. You really want me to do it? Like, I know you didn't just say that. Dom says, do what? She says, I know you didn't. I know you didn't just say that to me. You just effed up. He says, how? She says, effing manipulative. Hell no. Like I must be tripping because I know you didn't say that. You are effed. Who the F says that to anyone? It will never be my effing fault if you hurt yourself, if you're dumb enough to even actually do it. Whoa. Are you guys tripping? I'm like reading through these and I'm like, what the heck? They are both so miserable. She says, holy F, what the F happened to you? He says, cool. She says, this is not the Dom I know. He says, not the Kenzie either. She said, no, it's me. I'm going to call your mom. He says, you're going to ruin my night even worse. She says, no, you just effed up big time, Dom. You really just said one of the worst things you can ever say. You can say sorry right now and why you're sorry or we can have issues. He says, Kenzie, I'm sorry. but you're driving me crazy. You didn't listen to me at all. I told you I couldn't take the mental abuse. She says in caps, mental abuse. And she puts 10 question marks. She says, I'm done. You're not sorry. Also, if you hurt yourself, I'm done. He says, are you breaking up with me? Question mark. She said, mental abuse is not trying to be there for you and telling you I want to be with you and I want to go skating with you. Mental abuse is telling me it's my fault for hurting yourself. I'm actually shocked right now. You really just trying to hurt me tonight, huh? He says, okay, be done. I can't take it anymore. I just want to relax. That's all I asked for. She said, you could have been relaxing this whole time. You can effing smoke. I've been trying so hard to get through this effing addiction and you're not helping. He says, cool convo. Done. Kenzie, I have mental problems. Undiagnosed. She says, like, do you know how effing bad I want to hurt someone right now? And that's your fault that it's undiagnosed. I told you go to the doctor all the time. I only want to help and you don't understand that. He said, this isn't the time to talk about this. I have to shut off my phone. She says, wow. So you're really just not going to let me come hang tonight? We're not going to have a sleepover this weekend? It's going to be like that? He says, Kenzie, I don't know. That's a typo. He says, Kenzie right now. She says, after my very hard week, I don't even know what to say. OMG, did you block me? I swear to God. He says, no. She says, I can't come over too late. It's already like 10 p.m. too. She says, my mom won't let me if it's after 11. He said, okay, babe, leave me alone now and I'll text you. She said, don't make me wait hella long because I'll fall asleep, okay? He says, you can probably come in 10 to 15. She says, okay, are you sure I can't come sooner? Can I come now? When you're ready to talk maturely, we can talk. Until then, I'm done getting yelled at by you. He says, we're broken up. She says, you think I wanted to leave you like that? Now I'm hella stressed about you. So she went over there for 2 hours and they ended up fighting. She says, no. He says, on the phone. She says, phone's on one. She says, you can plug it in. Now I get to sit here all effing worried about your life. All I want to do is spend a fun day with you, babe. I help you figure out your dabs. I clean the glass you broke. I let you cry on my shoulder and you do this to me? He says, sorry. She says, 4? Question mark, question mark. Look, I want to hang with you today before I go skating with Kendra. So I can come back right now if you want. This is at midnight. He says, I gotta do shit now. Oh, wait, is it midnight or is it the next day already? Oh, yeah, it's the next day already. He says, 4. She says, look, I want to hang with you today before I go skating with Kendra. So I can come back right now if you want. He says, I gotta do shit now. She says, I can't come with. He says, I gotta get ready and do the shatter stuff, babe. Just go skating. She says, it opens at 2. He says, okay. She says, question mark. He says, what? Mackenzie says, you just said okay. He said, I'm just trying to get her ready. Mackenzie says, so you don't want to hang until 2? He says, I'm sorry, babe. I was dealing with these dabs for so long. She said, I just ate shit. He says, you okay? She says, LMAO, look at Snap. He said, I seen, doesn't look bad. She said, it hurts so bad. I didn't even fall 5 times. It's already bruising. He says, it just looked red. Get some ice real quick. She said, you should see now. It's hella bruised. Can I come over right now? Babe. He says, here. She says, bet. She says, I forgot to get Kendra the cart, babe. He says, damn, she can get it tomorrow. She says, yeah, I know. I'm not too worried about it. I just feel bad. And want a FaceTime? He says, yeah, in a sec. He says, on the phone. She says, okay, FaceTime me in a little. That's the end of January. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We got through the first month of 2021 and it was insane. These text messages just get crazier and crazier. We're going to stop there for tonight. I didn't even realize that I've just been up here yapping away for almost 4 hours. 4 hours. Okay, so we're start on February 1st tomorrow. Wow. 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 I will leave this live just questioning my life and the toxic relationships I've been in and how I can be a better person, because these texts makes me just realize, like, wow. I don't even know what to think, you guys. It's amazing here though. Oh, thank you, LJ. Love these lives. Hey, Jules. Is everyone doing okay? I know I'm like checking in with you guys because I don't think I'm okay. Like, just listening to those is so toxic. But I'm so glad we didn't skip, you guys. Could you imagine if we had skipped? We wouldn't even know all of this unless you guys were cheating on me with someone else. Then we're really going to have problems. Then you're really going to be blocked and be on D&D. So intense. I know. Alicia says I need some Excedrin. Cree says this was so bad. Yeah, I know. Just kidding. I don't block you guys. Well, I do if you're a troll, but I love you guys. I need to go hospital, check on my mental health. Yeah, okay. Here's your homework for the night. Have a good night. Don't be fighting. Don't be arguing. Don't be toxic texting. And let's just have like a mental health night. And we'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Okay. Okay. I do have a David live coming up. I have 2 Mackenzie lives tomorrow. So just get ready for it. I'm faithful. Thank you. Thank you, LJ. I like a faithful one. You coming on tomorrow? Of course I am. Tomorrow's Saturday. Okay, bet. No fighting. No fighting. She should eat. I need to eat. Go to sleep with good thoughts, guys, especially after all of this. Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Cree said everyone go Wim Hof. I might be back for an after dark. If I do come back for an after dark, then I'll see you guys. Don't dab and drive, y'all. I'm dead. If I come back for an after dark, I'll see you. If not, then I'll see you guys tomorrow. Please, please, please make sure you hit the like button on the way out. Help your girl out. All them YouTube things. Make sure you have your notifications on so you guys don't miss the lives tomorrow. I don't have a time yet, but I will be live tomorrow with Mackenzie Tex and David, and then I'm doing like a makeup shopping live. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I might come back tonight. Yes, after dark. Okay. The itching finally stopped. I'm so bummed. Oh, Michelle will miss you. You'll have to replay. They should make a PSA on this relationship. I know. It's a date. Okay, it's a date. I love and appreciate you guys. Please, please, please make sure you hit the like button. I will see you guys shortly or tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Bye.